a second. Hey guys, Socket here, and today we're joined by Empyrian, Karvarousku, and Raiz QT for a lovely Baeclast, and you can see some professional delving footage in the background. But as we get into it, I think the one thing which did actually really annoy me was when Karv made his very thoughtful and informed Reddit post, and that's when I get frustrated, when you have that genuine, like, really nice, well-read out description post, and it's like, we're having some real discussion here, and then it's just like, no, just read into oblivion. And that's the one time I'm like, I hate Reddit, and I want an actual nice. Nice.
Oh, sorry, we're not supposed to wear gloves.
He was so ready, Jesus. And Tarky bounced on it too, out of nowhere. Damn. Okay. No, I agree. That can be very rough. When you try to have a discussion and then people are just like, no, shut up.
It definitely showed the difference in the player base. Like how many people really care and like about hardcore. Every single league like softcore gets more players. But it's like recently, like the last year, you really see it in Reddit too.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many ways to play Path of Exile, right? There's already like the 4 leagues. And then within that, there's so many different types of people that do different types of content. And then people are like gathering that one hub and share their opinion. And their opinion is going to be like vastly different depending on like where they come from, right?
Oh, yeah.
What I did find really funny is, I can't remember, I think it was when I made my first video talking about account versus character band. And people were saying, oh, I'm so sick of Tarky and his elitist hardcore attitude. I've been playing softcore this entire league. But because I like used to play hardcore, I've still got the elitist brand like in my skull. It's fucking brilliant. But yeah, that's one of the really awkward things that I was actually talking to Karv about it when he made his post. It's gotten to the point now where I feel like it's nearly impossible to talk about PoE. The second you mention softcore, hardcore, or SSF, the entire thread is just deleted. Because the second you like put like a thing, everyone like gets their flag and puts it into the ground like, this is how you play PoE, and it's like,
yeah. I think that's hard to discuss for sure. But at the same time, it's gotten to me to that point where it's like, I almost don't want to give my perspective on a lot of things because it's like, oh yeah, this is my perspective, but 95% of the people play softcore anyway, so this is completely unrelatable to anybody. So it's like, oh, okay, I don't really care about this one aspect of it, which sucks. But at the same time, I mean, I think it's also fine for the most part.
I'm curious about what your opinion on this is, MP, because I always have this thing where sometimes I go into denial almost from like, kind of like what Raiz said. Maybe I'm just out of touch with the general player, so I don't know if I can even give any opinion. Since you're like destroying like top-end Delve ladder, and you probably know more about Delve than most people, do you kind of feel like I can't give an opinion because it's so removed?
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, that's evident like every day in chat. People say stuff that I either can't relate to, or I know that if whatever answer I'll give, they won't be able to relate to. Like we just like people playing SSF hardcore compare themselves to who play Trade League softcore, much the same way that even some people who play like us in Trade League softcore, they just play alone with a bad build or a semi-good build, and they're like at Delve 200, and they're asking like, oh, what's the best build for solo Delve, like pushing? And it's like, I mean, I can give some advice because I know like what people push with on the leaderboard, but they can also check that, right? So, I mean, my advice can only be like group focus, because that's the only thing I've been doing since the start. So,
can I just say your viewers are way better than mine, because I don't get what is the best build for solo Delve pushing. I just get what best build Delve, what best build Delve, and you're like, what does that
Patch
mean?
3.4.
What's best build for map?
What's the best map?
What's the best map? Yeah.
Well, it's still quite creative over the what best bandit. What bandit choose? How much item?
The bandit thing, it's gotten to the point now with bandits. Well, I don't know if I'm getting trolled.
It's trolling.
But real talk though. How can people not know what fucking bandit to pick in relevant fucking year? There are 2 options. You go skill points, or you go a Lyra, And then if you're like a level 99 build and you've got nothing good, sometimes you respec into Caitlyn. But it's just like, ah.
Yeah. So just
No,
say
my
oak.
life
I'm
region,
just say
dude.
oak, and that's it. Sorry, go ahead.
My life region. I want my oak life region, dude.
There you go.
Especially wallback builds. Yeah, I really hope they buff oak and Creighton.
Yeah.
They really should buff them. It actually feels bad thinking like, okay, what I'm gonna do with my bandits? Okay, am I crit? Okay, that's Alira. Or if I'm not like if I'm MOM and crit, okay, this has to be Alira. There's some cases where 2 points is better.
Right.
There's some cases where 2 points is better for crit builds.
Are we
Very
delving
few.
into this?
We're
'Cause
delving into
we've
bandits.
got subjects, but we can talk about
No,
that.
no.
Yeah, it's fine.
We're
Just
gonna-
buff oak and
Let's
don't know
just
if
buff
start
oak
with
and Creighton, okay?
bandits before we get into the
Okay.
heavy stuff, yeah?
I don't think the problem is with the bandit rewards.
Oh.
I think the problem is inherently with the way the game is played right now, which isn't necessarily a problem. Because if you want regeneration, then taking oak is pretty much efficient every single time. And if you want like movement speed and attack speed, you also get that. But it's just that it's so abundant on the skill tree and like through gear and everything that these points don't really matter versus reaching like a greater breakpoint or getting a jewel and anything else.
I think
So I don't know if like buffing them wouldn't just overkill them and create a problem for every patch.
I think it's a lot about what kind of player asked the question, because I think you're looking a bit too heavily into this. Like some player who starts playing Path of Exile gets to Act 2, goes left, reaches the Western Forest, and he gets to Alira. And it's like, wait, do I kill this? Or
Yeah.
help? Or like, what do I do? And that's, I think a lot of those questions came from those types of players, not like, how do I min-max my level 99 build, you know?
You think it's just somebody getting there and then
Yeah,
genuinely
like
going
meeting
to
one
a
of them
stream
like
and
this.
just...
What
Okay.
do I do? I have two options and I don't know which one's better. So just ask someone.
Yeah, I guess if you don't know the other options. But that's kind of PoE. That's interesting though, because in a way it also highlights what kind of an issue would it be if PoE would actually tell people but that there's ascendancies, right?
Yeah.
Because right now you don't even know. You choose a class and it's like, well, another class could be better for this thing that you're trying to
Look
do. I'm
who
trying
on
to
the
play a
loading
witch, you know, crazy voodoo bitch. I'm trying to make totems, but then turns out Templar is the better guy for totems. So you don't really know. But then if you start off and you've got however many ascendancies there are now, how much is it? 22? I think. And if you just throw all that information, that'd be fucked too.
Yeah.
So I guess we're gonna be stuck with bandits forever.
I often... So to segue into the other topics, so with the whole, you know, how it's physically impossible to get any map returns or any alks or any chaos. It's like, we all know it's fact at this point. You can't delve. It must be so difficult from GG's point of view because, like, the system works if the people know what they're doing. But with so much of Path of Exile being, like, you can kind of muddle through it and sort of get by not really knowing what you're doing for a really long time, how the fuck do you balance this shit so that it's, like, good for this guy and then not completely fucking broken for anyone else? Unless you just completely, like, remove that, like, min-max ceiling. And that seems to be what people like about PoE, so, like, I don't know how you can have any kind of win-win there.
You can't.
Yeah, you can.
You will never be able to play as anyone in a game like this where there's so many ways to play it. I don't know.
I mean, I guess
GG's
that's what happened
biggest
with, like, Diablo, right? They kind of, like, they got rid of that entire top end, so everyone's just kind of, like, on a level, you know?
Yeah.
So, from that, let's just do a very brief, what has everyone been up to? How's everyone been?
Wait, now?
Now, see, Raiz, see what we did
It's
there
been
is...
like 20 minutes.
No, I
Now that we got the
experimented with a
bandits out of the way.
smooth intro podcast, and you seemed very comfortable with it, and I thought, he's not cringed enough. So, Raiz, what have you been up to?
Yeah, in the first moment of silence, you throw this at people.
Yeah.
I've been ripping a lot. It's been great. I'm getting better though. I first died to a one shot from a white mob with no mods, and then I died to a one shot from a blue mob with no mods. First with 7k life, then with 7.5k. So next time maybe I have 8k life, and maybe I'll die to a yellow mob, and then it's only unique, so I should be chilling. But other than that, I've been doing SSF. I had like crazy day yesterday. I chanced the Queen of the Forest while trying to make a fossil farmer for my occultist guy. So I chanced the Queen of the Forest finally after like, I don't know, a couple hundred chance orbs. Then I randomly 6-linked it, just completely randomly. I wasn't even trying to 6-link, just 6-linked. Then I dropped the Poet's Pen, which also made the Queen of the Forest useless because now I'm going to roll another occultist and try to push delves. So it's pretty bizarre, but I can recommend this sort of RNG to anybody.
You can recommend getting good things drop. Yeah, that's fair.
Hey, it's pretty good.
I had a very brief moment of extreme RNG higher than low. Right, I was playing right after the patch yesterday, so the servers were very stable. Run a defiled crypt. The boss drops Comb's Roots, which is like quite a big deal in SSF. I go to pick it up and I walk through one of his like red laser beams, which puts a big bleed on you. And I'm like, I'm gonna log to save my XP. I log out. I go to re-enter the map. No enter map, and then all my portals crash, and I'm just there.
Yeah, that's always nice. It's like that one guy who was delving and he had like a super hard fight with a boss for like 20 minutes, and then he panicked at the end and logged off when the boss died and lost all his loot. Like,
I did one of the bosses. I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago on stream. And I died again picking up the loot and lost the loot. So I've gotten very good at softcore and, I've killed the boss. I can just walk through the mechanics because they despawn, right? Oh, wait, no, they don't. What have you been up to, Karv?
Well, I haven't been dropping good loot. I've been farming my ass out in maps for certain divination cards. Like, I farmed like a week of Sulphite just to get the one missing jewel for elemental hit. Gladly I got one. Too bad I got kind of the wrong one, so now I'm locked into gold elemental hit. But I mean, it works. And I just literally just before the Baeclast, I finished my Chinsol from How the Mansion and just like immediately 6-linked like 400 or something fuses. Nice. So that was nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that highlight. You got the fire prevention jewel, and you were so happy. And I'm just like, what the fuck's he happy about? Like, what is going on?
I'm using that jewel too. Okay.
Cold is like
it
really
makes a lot more
now.
sense now. It makes a lot more sense.
It's really nice for defensive though. The only issue is that the damage difference between the cold and the fire, I don't even want to think about lightning. It's just like the difference is crazy. It's just like it's like out of this world.
I have a running meme with Dan because I don't know why people keep asking me. I think it's because I keep telling people to look at Dan's profile. So every stream I get the question, which one's better, fire or cold? Fire or cold? So now I'm trying to get Dan to log out wearing a Stormfire with lightning jewels, just to make the questions a bit more interesting. What have you been doing, Empy?
I've been dying approximately 400 times with 21,000 energy shield and dodge cap.
Still less than me.
Spell block and 70% evasion, all that stuff.
Damn. Yeah, the legend of the white wolf. I don't know if Tarky can.
We've got it somewhere in this compilation.
That was the most badass thing I've ever seen. I was watching it live too. I was just like, what the hell? Some random white wolf ran up to him and one-shot him with like no mods for 21,000 ES. It's just like...
And that was only at 1.2k, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, only. Nice.
I don't think you had all the buffs though, but it was still pretty crazy.
People like loaded in, but they didn't move, so they had the grace period, and then they didn't.
Yeah, but that was pretty low too, right? That was when you guys were at like 1,500 or something.
No, 1,200, yeah, something like that.
Oh, 200, yeah, and now they're at 2,000. So, do things actually like just hit that much harder?
There is still some stuff that we can survive, but at this point we've shifted our focus to entirely like avoidance based, like defenses like dodge, block, and evasion. But there is still, like, I see the party HP, some mini projectile or like a tick of something like hits someone and just chunks him for like 15k, can still survive it. But yeah, I think a few hundred tiers later, everything's going to be one shot. Literally everything.
Wow.
One thing that I saw you doing, which I actually really liked, was when you started running flares ahead to get Val skills going before you started the cart. I was like, oh, that's cool.
I think we'll have to do that now for like all dangerous biomes, or like dangerous ones.
Yeah.
Like Nemesis and Bloodlines is insane. Those totems, the Union of Souls, the Nemesis stuff. Yeah.
That's
Have
what
you
I
guys-
was doing on my BV character. Like, you guys know the big bear that's getting fed souls and then eventually stands up? Like, he does a lot of damage to anybody who hasn't face tanked him. And I had a BV occultist, and I had like 9k energy shield, and he hit me for like 8.5 or something. So from there on, I'm just running around and picking up souls and then trying to fight him with like the full BV, never trying to get touched by him ever again. And that was, I think, with Enfeeble even. And that was only on like Delph 250. It's just ridiculous.
That was actually one thing that I was really curious to have you on for, because everyone's complaining out Sulphite, which we'll get into later. But like, how do you feel about the actual balance of the monsters themselves and the different biomes?
Me?
Yeah.
I think I think the scaling is good. I think like there's noticeable increase in HP. The thing is, this is another one of those things that people just won't be able to relate to, because we went for this from the start. So we had 4 supports like ready with every single like imaginable buff in the game, and so we didn't really feel any difficulty in terms of like mob HP or mob incoming damage until like the very late hundreds. Like, of course, we run into a bad biome and you get maybe one shot by something huge, but other than that, if our buffs are up, our curses are up, it was fine. It was quote unquote face rolling through, just speeding like at max card speed and rushing to the next zone. And like in the late hundreds, we started to lose some people here and there and had to like pay attention. And now it's like actual progress where every zone is like, okay, is this a hard one? Do we have to pre-flare, farm Val auras, or all that stuff? Like that comes in now.
So
Maybe
what's like
you could
oh, go on.
just real quick, if you could like do a very quick rundown of like what you're running, because I don't think people have the idea of like what running 4 supports really really means.
Okay, so we have a Cyan aura support who has like pretty much all the auras with every single like aura effectiveness stuff. We have a curse support who has currently 5 curses. We're working on getting a 6th in. We have a Mana Guardian support that makes it so that we have 21,000 energy shield. And we have a shock support, which is me, who has like pretty much everything else that the other supports can't fit. So I shock, blind, fear, EE cold, EE for cold, so reduce the other resistances, lightning and fire by 60%.
Conversion trap.
Weapon swap conversion trap, yeah, that's a thing also.
Frostbomb.
We can talk about that later. Yeah, weapon swap frostbomb, and yeah, some other stuff. And then we have the 2 DPS. So like we have like all the defenses spread across those 4 supports, and then we have our DPS going pretty much full glass cannon, except they go CI. Our VD goes CI only for poison biomes. Other than that, I think everyone else in the group, we made CI now because the degen is just so bad, the poison degen, like we couldn't find any other way to consistently survive it.
That's the one the zombies drop on death, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that needs like rebalancing? Because I remember Grimrose saying that it was like one-shotting him at like 600 or 700.
Yeah, that thing like already one in-game ticket killed a 22,000 support with all buffs up. Yeah, I don't know if that's something that they need to look at, but in a 6-player group, it's like almost impossible to see. So we were thinking of ways like, okay, we're gonna put on like some crazy looking transmog on me or like someone, and then that person will never pass a zombie, so that whoever's not CI knows that never to go further than that person. But all this during the 6-man spam and the cart moving at like light speed is like impossible.
I really like that as an idea. That's so cool.
Damn.
Okay, so Empy, you said you guys have like everything, right? Like every buff and mechanic you can think about.
But yeah.
Okay, so have you guys looked into Gluttony at all?
Yeah.
To what?
With very few items, you can convert half the physical damage you take into elemental, and with some cool stuff. There's like this nice helm.
Are you talking about Havoc spell that
No, I'm talking about making so that instead of monsters doing damage to you, they heal you. There's this
Gluttony
one
of elements?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have 100% uptime on that.
Wait, you already have an uptime on it?
We
How
have
do you-
100% our curse support is running it with self-curse temp chain, so we have 100%
Okay.
uptime if you move at a proper pace. Yeah.
I was just
Vol
wondering,
purity of
like,
elements.
So
that's probably-
literally the only thing that, I mean, well, it's not up 100 uptime if you keep dying every now and then, right?
Yeah, of course.
So
yeah.
maybe
in an ideal situation we have 100% uptime. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was
So
just
for
wondering
people
if you're
that don't know,
looking at
there's
like 4 people doing it.
Yeah,
Literally
there's this
every support
amulet.
doing it.
Yeah, I think it has to be there, like at least for like the Nemesis bloodline. By like, you just can't get past those totem dudes sometimes. If you get hit by like one tick of like the lightning cloud on the ground or any of those AOE bullshit, like you just get wiped.
Yeah, it's
And
pretty
then
much
usually
what
if
I've
one
seen.
person dies, everybody dies. Or like sometimes in easier ones we can lose 1 or 2 people and then somehow they can finish it with like some dynamite spam or something like that. But I mean, if we lose our single target early on, then we might not be able to finish the boss in the end if it's a tier 3. If we lose our AoE early on, we might not be able to get there because he's the one that's actually clearing all the trash with the Soul Eater and all that. So yeah, pretty much everyone needs to stay alive. There is cases where 1 or 2 people like can die and we barely finish like one node, but yeah, everybody needs to stay
And this
alive.
is with like permanent Soul Eater, right?
Yeah.
Also. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw the
Basically
gluttony. I
permanent-
saw that
We have
whenever the gluttony
permanent,
wasn't up, you guys would just die pretty much
Yeah,
instantly.
exactly. We have Valdisk on our DPS on our Soul Eater guy. He has permanent Valdisk. Our Cursor has permanent Gluttony, pretty much permanent Gluttony, and our Aura support has permanent Grace. We're using Soul Reaper flasks to help the uptime. I'm about to drop that though because I'm only doing Val haste and like a backup Val discipline, so I'm probably gonna drop that for more spell block. Just need more percent like evading or like not taking damage kind of defenses at this point.
Yeah.
So what's like, so other than the zombies being kind of bullshit, what are like the monsters which like this is what you're fucking afraid of?
In terms of monster types, is the bats, the shrieking bats. They can off-screen like 5 people from like the darkness.
And through
Insta
walls
kill.
too, right? I've seen them shoot through walls.
Sometimes it seems like through walls. Yeah.
Uber had a theory that they have like % chance to shock or something. Have you guys like worked that out?
We are not shock immune, I don't think.
Because he was talking because he's trying to make like some max block, spell block, necro thing, and he was trying to think about whether or not it's worth dropping the roomies, losing some block to then gain shock immunity because he thinks you're getting like chain ramped shocked by those guys.
You get shocked a lot.
Yeah.
And it's also why it kills minions for sure.
Yeah,
It
fucking
won't matter.
shreds
Also-
minions for some reason.
Aren't you guys running there's like an amulet that makes lightning damage, lucky?
Oh, Perkle still. Yeah. We're
Yeah.
doing that. Not just lightning. I think any damage. It basically rolls your damage twice and takes the higher value. It kind of does the same as Crit Flask does for critting, right?
Yeah.
They did the math and it came out to be about a 20% damage increase. It's all damage. Yeah. That one's in champion.
Yeah, but you also take the same value, and it's for everybody in the party, right? If mobs deal damage, then their attacks are also lucky.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
That would probably mess you up with lightning damage.
and our big our biggest source of damage is lightning and fire, and lightning is known to be one of those damages that can be really good if it rolls high or pretty bad if it rolls low.
One thing I wanted to say, because you mentioned it, Karv, there's a few weird things which do like way too much damage to minions. Like the dust tornado one, that will fucking shred. You can have like an animate guardian like 40-50k life, and it's just like dead.
Yeah. Okay, a little fun fact about that. I'm not sure yet. I've only done 2 tests, but I think that tornado is an entity because there's a health bar, right? So I think I managed to conversion trap a tornado. It disappeared exactly as it got to where I threw my traps, but I need to do more testing on this. But that would be pretty funny if that could actually counter it.
That'd be awesome. This fucking tornado trapper. I love that.
Weren't you guys using like a rejuve totem or something? At
some point, yeah, but now the damage is too big that we just switched to like more decoys. Yeah, I had 3 link rejuve. Dude, we have a 6 link decoy totem in the group, and it dies instant. It has all our auras, all our like buffs and everything. ES from the Mana Guardian, it just sometimes gets one shot.
Yeah, I saw you guys were having spoiler alert. There's like bosses. I guess most people know this, and
Yeah.
they've met like a Argus type of guy or something. And basically, their strategy was to pull him into some tunnel and just spam like 20 totems so he couldn't walk through. And he
Yeah,
was just
because it was cannot be
one-shot punching
taunted.
everything.
It was cannot be taunted zone, so
Yeah.
decoys didn't work. So we just had to wall him off. Yeah.
They just blocked him off. So I mean, there's some pretty interesting stuff down there. That's
Yeah,
always...
I love that there is like nothing like this has been in Path of Exile before, and I'm loving it. Like the amount of like strategy and like reason to min max finally beyond like one shooting T16 full screen, right? Which you can do like in a few X budget like every league. Now there's like actual reason to like insane optimization, and that's really cool.
Why decoy totem not Frostwall?
Frostwall? Oh, Frostwall. Projectiles still go through Frostwall. I don't know. We
Yeah, but
consider
you're talking
Frostwall,
about
like, a lot of
blocking that
times,
one
but-
guy.
Oh,
Blocking
yeah.
that one guy.
I think we need to yeah, we could probably fit that in somehow, at least to a weapon swap.
Yeah,
but
I was actually going to suggest that because
Also, wait,
Yes,
wait.
yes.
Frostwall blocks projectiles that don't have inherent pierce.
yeah,
Or like, of course, there's like things that are like ignore like the AOVs, like
the
the
Screecher or whatever, but
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
But like
Yeah,
what
Screechers are
Grimro
the
was
biggest
doing was
Grimro.
he was walling stuff as far away as possible and went full glass cannon. So he would just like shoot through it. And that obviously wasn't very min-max, he was doing solo stuff, but if you guys like proper did that, you could like completely like cut off entire corridors. And if you have phasing, you can just walk through it yourself. I don't
It's
know.
possible. A lot of the encounters have just the mobs like spawn on top of you, so you couldn't block those. And the thing is, we have so many forms of CC that this has not been a problem so far. Like we have stun, we have knockback, we have freeze, we have chill, we have hinder, we have fear, we have blind, we have maim, and
Chance to flee.
I'm probably forgetting something. Yeah, I said fear, chance to flee. Yeah. And we're looking into ways to like fit more in right now with Warlord's Mark. I'm not sure if we can do that because we found out that the Whispers of Doom and the other curses on other party members don't stack. We should have known this, of course. Pretty embarrassing, but whatever. So basically, we can only have 5 curses, and we've been running 7 curses up until now. So the 2 curses from the Mana Guardian with Blasphemy have been sometimes overwriting our main curses, which our curse support is running. So yeah, well, Warlord's Mark gives another 10% like chance to get stunned, I think, on hit or something like that, which is like pretty good. We're looking to maybe fit that in somehow.
How OG is the whole like chance to flee ball lightning stuff? Because I've heard a few people talking about it.
Chance to flee only works like properly on white mobs. Blue and yellow mobs you need to hit like 20 times and then they get feared for like 0.1 second. Like it's not. Yeah, but
It's
if you go
also
to
why nobody ever
that,
uses it anywhere else.
Yeah,
Never
yeah.
used it because it's just useless.
Yeah, it's just anything that can stop a monster from like attacking maybe on like a delay the animation by 0.1 second could be enough so that we can kill it.
That's fair.
Yeah. Get another CC on.
Damn, dude. Useless. I could use some fearing of white mobs. Maybe I wouldn't die so much. Holy shit. I should
One
run
thing
that.
I've been doing, Raiz, which I think would be decent for you, is going like full anti-crit. You know, that's pretty cool. Just like throw on like an arms helm, and that's like 50% less crit damage. Maybe take, you know, crit belt or something.
It's alright. I think people overvalue the crit reductions. Some people I see like heavily overinvest into it, but yeah, I mean, sure, it's useful. Whenever I have an opportunity, I'll run a Belt of the Deceiver. I'll even pick up Indomitable because I don't think armor's shit.
I was running
Pretty
that for a
weird.
while actually, but I did spec out of it recently. Feels
You don't
bad.
need armor if you don't get hit.
Hey, yeah, but if you do get hit for 20k, then that's
Yeah.
a problem.
Maybe.
So realistically, you think anybody? I don't even know how the hardcore stuff is looking, but you think anybody's even gonna make it to like 1,000? I'm actually gonna take a look.
Like solo or hardcore or what?
Yeah, solo
Probably not.
1,000.
Probably not.
Probably not.
I think they're
I
at
mean,
like
if someone goes ham on
600
it,
or something. I
like,
think they're like 600.
On a poet spend and off screens and play smart and puts in the time for like months, then you can. But it's like, yeah, I guess anytime you slip up, like it's
Yeah,
start
it's
over.
literally instant flip if you fuck up.
Yeah.
Uh,
And there's
Okay,
so
so-
many ways to like die.
I'm
Like
checking
the hardcore
hardcore
delve
delve.
is-
Okay, real quick, I'm checking hardcore delve, So not solo self-found. The number 1 guy is 648, level 99. He's dead. That's also the number 1 group guy, by the way. He's both solo. The second guy is level 98 at 632. So 16 delves lower. He's also dead. Followed by 1 alive guy and a long list of dead dudes. So
yeah, that's great. Like half the hardcore dev ladder is just dead. Also, I think both of the rank 1 and 2 died like just recently before the change to the global mine, I think.
Yeah.
So like I think a lot of people I think hardcore there is going to be pushed now a bit more, because the moment they told us about the change to the mine being global, a lot of just stopped doing any progress because they didn't want to risk dying, right? And the few who kept going, well, they died.
Yeah, and also the hardcore economy doesn't move that fast, so you genuinely have still an opportunity to pick up items that are going to be pretty useful. Well, from the looks of it, you guys have been fully decked out from pretty much the beginning.
Well, kind of, but we're still looking to upgrade every day. There's some so crazy
awesome.
jewels that we can get, like 4-stat jewels with good vol implicit rolls on them and stuff like that. Double corruptions, of course, people can find if they delve deep.
Oh, that's super cool.
Yeah, we're always looking for upgrades still. That's really cool as well.
Oh, okay, because that's what I was thinking.
I mean,
that's going to be the biggest
we got
issue.
to our builds right in a few days, and that's fine. But there is so much room to optimize because of how the amount of stuff that we can put on 4 supports, right? So there's some crazy items that you can make, like jewels, especially. Like yesterday, we evolved 2 Watcher's Eyes, and I actually got an absolutely sick Watcher's Eye with extra shock, which means I can save either a point on the tree, or I can drop my helmet and actually go Crown of Tyrant for even more damage. But then I need to get cold resist, which means I'll need to get a 4-stat jewel with cold resist, stats, flat ES, and percent shock, and then I need to roll the percent shock vol on it. It's some crazy shit.
Okay, so because that was my biggest concern, that people will just reach a point where they won't feel like upgrades are making a difference, so they just won't bother. But to see that you guys are still doing that is really cool. But at the same time, how expensive was that Watcher's Eye pre-falling?
That was actually really, really cheap. I think it was 1x only.
Oh, okay. That's
it's not something that DPS characters are looking for. Some of our support gear can be cheap because maybe 3 people on the server play it or whatever, and those people only play it because they saw it and they wanna emulate the group play or something like that, which is really cool. People are asking me oh hey, we're trying to play this. What would you roll on this or whatever? And this new support item that is super weird and wouldn't have existed 2 leagues ago.
Yeah. Especially as a guy you've voled 100 headhunters or something at the end of the league.
Just 36.
Just 36, yeah. So now you can vol this is a 10 exalt item. Let's buy 20 of them and vol them. But that's really cool. That
shout out to Snap for the Watcher's Eye. That was a sick vol. Holy shit. He was buying it for himself. He was trying to vol it for 1% mana reserve for his auras, but he actually ended up with a crazy Watcher's Eyes for my build. So that's really cool.
Damn.
See, that's the one thing which, if they don't put fucking Delve Core, I'll be so sad. Because watching you guys progress, it's it's all the things that I loved about, early WoW raiding and stuff. But obviously, it's you don't have to fucking play WoW. Because that's always been the draw for me, when I want to go back to WoW, is to get back into that group stuff. But this is,
yeah, exactly.
Just calling out
this is how I played Diablo 3,
and
now I can do this in a good game. That's so cool.
Whoa! Calm down.
So, since it was briefly touched on with the whole, if we start talking about the account versus character bound mine, and then after that we'll then get into the Sulphite fucking fiasco. So now
we're basically waiting for them to release the patch before we get into it.
the next patch of the patch.
Sulphite 3.0.
Yeah. So now that we've played with the whole account bound mine, is there anyone who still kind of wished it was more character based, or we had something which is more in the middle? I know me and Karv were kind of disappointed. I don't know what you two really think about this.
I can see where people are coming from. I understand that the disappointment is coming from basically there being a lack of a downside to ripping on a high level character when it comes to the delving alone, where the gear isn't enough. That's where people are coming from with the disappointment part. But I don't know. It doesn't really bother me. to be honest. And also when they highlighted in that post how backwards their idea was for why they didn't want delving to be account bound was so bizarre. They basically said, well, we didn't want it, but then to fix it, you can just go sideways and then go down.
Yeah,
Like,
that was stupid.
man, come on.
It's
man.
still
like,
better than Diablo. What Diablo does? What Diablo does, you just bash your head against one, maybe you get a good drift. And here you can actually make a decision to like, okay, I can't deal with this FX. Let's go check this way or this way, and then all you're gated by is like time, right? Like farming the Sulphite in whatever way you do that. Right?
Yeah.
So I like that there's that element of option at least. Like, but yeah,
No,
it's still
for
like
sure.
kind of rough for people. Like, oh well, you just can't do this. Just go another way. Like, yeah, maybe some people like won't like that. But...
No. I really like that. It's just that how stupid that to me. That's just such a stupid thing because they've built this entire system in a certain way, and then
gotcha.
they just negate all of it by saying, "Oh, just go sideways, dog. What's the big deal?" It's like, well, I don't know.
Yeah,
Couldn't you guys do this before if it's that simple? Like, yeah.
I think one thing which really irritated me about it a little bit, and this will be very much a personal preference thing.
Really, a little bit.
Yeah, just a teeny bit. But so much of like PoE has been about for such a long time. This is your speed character. This is your boss character. This is your this character. And I did actually really like the fact that if you really wanted to like explore Delve to the fullest, people were like more willing or more favored to make like an all-rounder. Like maybe you change your gear setup. Maybe you do this so you can do. If you want to this boss, maybe you go for that, or maybe you go for a summoner because summoners you could change your specters up or whatever, or you kind of know what I mean. Whereas now it's just kind of gone back to the this is your boss character, this is this character, this is your that character, and yeah.
Well, sort of. Well, that's the thing that I love and I hate about the Sulphite changes. I don't know if we're stepping into that already,
Go for it.
But basically that to play like a really good SSF Delver. To my understanding so far, the slower your character, the better in a way, because everything becomes a lot more controlled. In a way, I see people just almost like going for leap slam characters, for instance, specifically because you don't have any movement speed. Therefore, you can keep the card under control, and therefore you have like more time to dish out damage and just stay further away from mobs and all this sort of stuff. And because of that, I really liked quarry farming because I didn't have to bother with having a slow character. And now it's like, well, I have to play this fucking slow ass character to get my Sulphite to then do a little bit of delving, but most of the time I'm spending by doing like these 10-minute maps. And so I think it's got its up and downsides, to the point for me personally where, yeah, I had a BV occultist and I'm quitting it because I can't stand mapping with it because it's just too slow. So... Now without quarry, if I ever play something like that again, I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Can we just say that quarry isn't fun? Like
Yeah.
you didn't
quarry
enjoy
ruined the
quarry.
community. Like for
sure.
The community's perception of Sulphite game, the quarry and specifically havoc streaming, properly optimized quarry farming, I think ruined a lot of the Sulphite discussion because people are comparing current mapping, old mapping to old optimized quarry, instead of a proper comparison, which would be new mapping versus old mapping, right? Like new mapping is better for Sulphite than old mapping. New mapping is better for Sulphite than new quarry, which is both of the things they wanted to achieve. They achieved that. But new mapping is not necessarily better than old optimized quarry. And I think that's where people are losing their shit. It's like, I used to be able to farm this with a optimized leap slam character like really fast, and now I can't. I need to map if I want. I need to sustain T16s. And then, yeah, people just lost their shit like yesterday night.
Quarry should never have been in the game. Like,
it was an incursion. I don't know how they it doesn't matter.
Oh, it was on purpose though, for sure. Like the quarry was giving a lot less Sulphite than the surrounding areas. If you're just leveling, then you're getting 50-60 Sulphite even in like level 60 zones.
Yeah, but I don't think they like thought about it. I think that was kind of one of those.
They thought about it.
No. What I mean by that is, I think they were kind of like, oh, someone might do it, so let's nerf it. But I don't think they thought about if this is the thing, people are going to get used to this, and this is what the expectation is going to be, and now we've fucked ourselves long term.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing which always triggers me, is there'll be this change or there'll be something, and it's because people have gotten used to it being a certain way So that's why you can't take it away from them, because once you're taking something away from people, that's when the fucking rage happens. So that's why I always think, like, start slightly shitty and then make it better, rather than having to take away. Because if you take away, it's fucking...
Yeah, but that's also the biggest complaint about PoE, right? That every league except like Incursion always kind of starts off shitty, and then everybody's like, fuck this game, I quit. But we don't really know if they quit, right?
Yeah,
Only
exactly,
GGG
man.
knows. And if they continue this pattern, then I guess things are working out. So
Yeah, we can only assume.
yeah, we can only assume. But I mean, they obviously want to run the best business, right, possible for themselves. So if it's better, then yeah. Unless they're actually just cutting corners and they're like, well, to make a better game, we're going to basically have less players, but it's a better game long term.
I don't think they think like that. I would like
Yeah.
them to think like that, but I don't think they do. It's
They
one thing
definitely
which
don't.
they really don't. One thing which really fucking shocked me, actually, since you said they have the stats, is in their one of their posts they're saying, "Oh, based on our statistics, it seems like players aren't running the maps we thought they were." And I was like, "But you have the statistics. How are they not? You know, you have it. Like, how do you like what?"
Yeah, but that's such a hard thing that already showed before, right? When they were like, oh yeah, we're gonna standardize XP across all maps, and everybody's just kind of like, what? Wait, what are you trying? How the fuck are you gonna do that? And they're like, yeah, we're gonna take the XP and then the time that it takes to clear maps. Like, there's no fucking way you can do this.
There's so
And I mean, they
many.
kind of did it. Yeah, it's
Good
just so
luck
many
testing
And
all
they
the
did a
builds.
pretty good job, regardless. Like,
Yeah,
it's insane.
they did good, but it's still shit, right? Like, we've got an indoor map meta forever, but it's just impossible to fix. So it's the same thing with Sulphite, and like, how do you balance it around parties and then individuals and then people farming Quarry the way Havoc did? It's just
Like,
so,
I don't
so insane.
understand. Like, sometimes just these Reddit threads that pop up, like, people complain about the quarry, right? Understandably, and then they want to be able to do content and then do the delve, but then they fix that. They make it so that mapping is now better, and then they're all pissed because they have to map in order to delve. Like, I've been mapping for 4 years. I don't want to map. I want to delve. It's like you can't really have it both ways. Like, I don't understand how those groups of people who were complaining about quarry are upvoted then, and now the groups that are complaining about they have to map are upvoted now. Like, I don't know if the Reddit meta changes or like what happens in there, but
I think
those things are kind of contradictory. And
yeah, that's the big problem. I think where that comes from is from the fact that there's so many more softcore players than hardcore players now. But I would say that the average hardcore player is a lot more invested in the community, and like the majority of hardcore players read Reddit and actually give feedback on all this stuff, while a very tiny fraction of the softcore players give feedback. And honestly, when it comes to hardcore, there is a point where if you're just delving, you get to a point where you're like, oh, I'm too low level for this content that I'm doing. I have to map anyway to get higher level so that I don't die. Well, the softcore guys are just like, yeah, we don't give a fuck about this at all. I'm just gonna keep going down
3K
no matter
health,
what.
T16, hell
Yeah.
yeah, let's go.
And so that's really where this shit clashes a lot.
I think the thing which I find worrying is, and it doesn't matter if it's just 10 people and it's just these 10 people can get to the front page. The fact that people are like, oh, I hate all this grind. I hate having to run these maps. And then my favorite, they said it was infinite. It's not infinite if I need to get Sulphite.
Wait, I'm getting trashed by chat. You guys really think that the majority of there's more softcore people as a percentage on Reddit than there is on hardcore?
I would say so.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Fuck
No,
yeah.
like that, but compared to its own base, right? So let's say if 100% is hardcore, right? Then I'd say like even up to 50% would go on Reddit. But if 100% is softcore, then only maybe like 20% would actually read Reddit.
Oh, so what you're saying is that there is more hardcore players on Reddit out of the hardcore community in percentage-wise than softcore players on Reddit out of the softcore community.
Yeah, because you're already invested more in the game if you're playing hardcore.
Yeah,
because you don't want to waste your
I
time
would,
and
I
I
would
would agree with that,
disagree
so.
with that because like I understand it, but the other thing you need to remember about Reddit is there's a very big difference between lurkers and contributors. I think there are more hardcore contributors, but most hardcore contributors, their threads don't fucking go anywhere. It's
Yeah,
they make the really well thought out thread, and it's got all the fucking formatting, it's got everything, it's there. It's fucking dead within 10 minutes.
Look at my item, 2,000 upvotes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's totally true. Yeah, 100%. But yeah, I just mean in relative ways, not that. I don't know.
So you're making the per capita argument.
Calm down, everybody. I mean, it just can't be like that because it's so uncomparable. Like people would throw around numbers in the past where it was like, oh, 40 hardcore, 60 softcore. I think it's like literally 95% softcore now versus like 5% hardcore. There's just no fucking hardcore.
I remember Uber said something like this on like the day 3 or 4 of the league. There was 3 exalted orbs listed in hardcore trade.
Yeah.
3 of them.
I actually had viewers angry at me that I'd been pushing so many of my viewers into SSF. Apparently I'm damaging hardcore trade. Like someone was actually angry. Like, why are you fucking streamers? You used to play hardcore trade. Why are you throwing anyone to go SSF? You're damaging our economy. It's like, fuck off.
How dare you enjoy the game the way you want to?
Yeah, but it's a transition stage, you know. The same thing happened, and back then I was the one being butthurt about it. Nowadays, I think the game should be based around softcore. There's just so many more players. I mean, I personally don't like it because I play hardcore, but because that's just the better direction for the game, I approve of it. But I remember in the past there was the same transition where people were switching into leagues and everything, and back then the majority of the player base was hardcore. And as people were moving away from what was normal hardcore back when leagues were just releasing, the hardcore people were super duper butthurt that there were even leagues. Like they couldn't believe that people were GG was releasing leagues and temporary stuff, and like what the fuck are they talking about?
I vividly remember having a conversation with the group I used to play with in hardcore perm about whether or not people would play temp, and we're like, dude, it's a fucking fad. No one's gonna want to give up all their shit. What are you talking about? And like people genuinely thought this was like they'll play it for like a week, but no one's actually gonna play leagues. Like,
and now it's standard in 2018. Oh my god, right?
Okay, finally. So I want to go back a bit. Empy, you said that people can't have it both ways when you said that people bitch about needed to do quarry and now they need to do.
I know they're not the same people, right?
Yeah,
but they're getting upvoted, which is what confused me.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest issues people seem to have now is that the most invested, like farming T16 now, is still the same or barely better than the quarry before the batch. So now you have to invest currency in. Yeah, but there's a lot of people been saying. I don't know if it's actually true, but that's a lot of I've been hearing. But
well, it depends what we're talking to. If we're talking individuals or are we talking solo play?
Yeah, I'm talking about people who are playing themselves. Doesn't necessarily mean it's all self-fun, but just playing themselves. But that's like what I've been hearing a lot. That's been the issue. That I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be the same, but even if it's like 50% better than the previous, right? There's no cost at all to quarry, right? So you just do it. It doesn't matter what character you do. You slap 2 items and you're good to go, right? And now you have to have a good build that can survive at T16 with like 100 quad.
Yeah, but I mean, you have to have that build to survive in build, right?
Exactly.
Like, so it's I don't understand those complaints. Like, I have to do hard content to access hard content. Like, I mean, you don't have to. You can still farm lower maps. It's not going to be the most efficient, but you can still do it. You can map on your whatever character, and then you can switch to your delve character.
Yeah, I think a lot of people expect this change to be like a crazy like a delve uptime increase.
And it is, but not crazy. And I think that's what they're like. I only want to do delve, but I think Tarky hit a really good point on the last Baeclast about the donut example, where like, if you have a donut like 5 times a day, you just get bored of it, and like, but if you get one every week, then it feels good every week, right?
I know. I think it's. I was talking to Uber about this a little bit yesterday, and like this was. Because this is the other thing which makes this discussion really difficult. Because they've patched it twice now, so the stuff I'm talking about now is based on what I tested and talked to you about from the old new numbers.
Yeah,
and based on the old new numbers, it seemed to be if you were running like tier 14 or higher, with maybe some like vals going on and some like decent quant, it seemed to be like the same or better. Like 14 was like the same, then 15, 16 was better. And then it was like worse for people beneath that. and I don't know how that is
compared to
after they've...
optimized quarry, once
Yeah,
again, compared to something that slap on a character and just like do nothing but run to the sulphite and back from the waypoint, which a lot of people hated doing. But a lot of people are like, okay, I just want to delve, so I'm just going to do whatever it takes to do the most efficient fuel, and then just right back into
I
delve,
think
right?
that's not the issue, though. I think what the core issue is the fact that, and this is the thing that Path of Exile always has, someone's like, hey, what's sextant blocking? What's this? What's that? Whereas if you tune in and you see, like, Havoc quarry farming, oh, I go to quarry.
Exactly.
Like, you don't have to think about it. There's nothing, there's no, like, confusing. And for a long time, I made a video about this last league. I call it, like, the feedback loop. It's just some made-up shit I called it. Like, most people, they play a character to roughly, like, level 90. They probably push yellows. They get frustrated. They can't sustain their reds because they don't actually invest into reds. Then they make a new character. And they get into this, like, really awkward, like, fucking loop. What Delve did is the people who, like, didn't know how to build a map base because they weren't investing into their maps or whatever could just go into quarry. So now what's happened is you can sustain it fine. If Raiz is fine, this fucking hilarious. I'm waiting to hear his input.
No, I'm not even listening to you. Just keep going.
Oh, thanks,
The
Amy. I appreciate
sustain
that.
thing,
Sorry, I'm just imagining because Karv stood up with his phone. And I'm just imagining him taking up like a serious call because he's like, I got a phone call, but then he stands up. He has no pants on. He just walks away in his underwear. I don't know. To me, it was just funny. Sorry, Karv. Sorry,
Okay, so anyway, as I was saying, so about the player feedback loop. So I feel like what happened is there's a lot of people out there who just don't know how to set up their atlas, and this is apparent because people keep pulling out these numbers like it's impossible to sustain chaos. It's impossible to sustain. I can't. There was a guy saying he could even sustain tier 9s. Like I can't even sustain this. I can't sustain that. And then with Delve, it's such a straightforward system. You get the juice. You click on the node. There's like, you can min-max how you go left if you go right, like if you take the short or the longer paths, but it's very straightforward. And I think the biggest issue that GG will always fucking have, this is why I don't like fucking Atlas, is Atlas is cool if you know what the fuck you're doing, and if you don't know what you're doing, people just get fucking frustrated and then they go to quarry.
Well, so I think what I would really love to see the influx of like people more actively participating in the community feedback discussions and all this sort of stuff. Because one of the points you mentioned was, I was listening, was Havoc hopping around and all this stuff, right? And people looking at him and they're like, oh, this is the way to farm. This is obviously way faster than whatever I'm doing. But I think a lot of the problems comes from people who weren't particularly engaged with the community and weren't giving their feedback, but delving just didn't feel good enough. And then they would go to the forums and then they would be like, yo, I'm just an average dude and this shit don't feel good because I just can't delve enough. And if that's so apparent to somebody who's not being influenced by, watching Empy run maps until the Sulphite and then the guy comes in and they don't even kill any mobs or anything like that, or getting influenced by Havoc, then yeah, that's a really big problem. That's why I would love to see some sort of numbers for how many people are actually now going and giving this sort of unbiased feedback, because I think it's a problem no matter how you look at it, or it was. I mean, now it's even bigger from the looks that, I don't know if you guys did any, like, people are obviously gonna watch this on YouTube or whatever, but like people were saying that it's a mess now, and I did like 3 maps. I'm on like Delve, I think 250. I did 3 maps and I couldn't run a single like short length Delve after running like a T14, T12, and T15. So
okay, so yesterday before when the first new numbers came out, at Delve 270, which is when you reach the item level 86, the tier 16 map tier, one block cost 1,270 sulphite. You have a cap of 30k, and you got an average of 750, 800 in a good rolled T12. So I don't know the new numbers yet, but yesterday I think that block number was way too big for 270. I think that block number should have been at like 600, which is where like the challenges, like it was ramping up way too fast. Like they did the rescaling, but they did it way too bottom heavy. And I don't know about the new numbers yet because I like woke up, I saw the manifesto, which was like seemed like it was much better than before, but I haven't actually tested it yet because I went to eat and then this Baeclast started. So we'll be doing that later. But it seems like it's much more like they switched the scaling to linear. Like the T16s were way too rewarding, and the lower tier maps were not as good. They were not as good as old Quarry, right? What we talked about before. So they made it more linear. So T12s are giving more than T11s properly. T13s will give more than and the quantity will have much more of an impact. So well-rolled maps will reward you with more Sulphite.
Wait, so did they already release the fix to the fix patch?
Yes.
Yeah, they already changed it.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that. I only played on the really, really broken one. Okay, I thought that's still coming out later today.
The cap is 18k now, I think.
Dude, about that, like I slept past it, and you guys know the subreddit, like the Tifu today I fucked up. I actually was about to make a post up there because I opened Reddit today without having popcorn next to me. And it would have been so much better reading all the threads. And it was so close. But like, yeah, I basically like I came in to the already changed patch, and well, I haven't mapped much yet, but around like 250, I did like few red maps at the start of the Baeclast. Valorant didn't like do much yet, and I don't know. It didn't feel. I feel like it's the same as it was before for me at least, but I don't know how much it will change like later on, like 400 plus and so on. And you can definitely just running some high tier maps, you can go back to low maps and delve for like hours.
Wait, so it's still screwed, but like Quarry is not a thing anymore? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, that's kind of what they wanted to delete, though.
Exactly.
Also, one thing.
Quarry is a mistake. Quarry should have been deleted like day 2 of the whole league.
Sure.
Like, so it gave people the like, okay, let's do this because it's good. And now I think a lot of people who, I don't know, okay, numbers of course, but I think a lot of people did the quarry farming, right? They didn't really do maps. They didn't invest into maps, anything like that. So when they did change the patch, right, like how the shit works, now they got hit so hard that they couldn't even test anything before they already did the change because there was so much salt about it on Reddit and everywhere. So I don't know if it would have been good. Like I had like few people said that after the first patch, you know, the exponential difference between the tiers, it was good if you were doing like the T15s and 16s at like 400 and everything, and now it got changed. I don't know. I haven't been really doing I haven't really been pushing.
I don't know. I ran a 14, 15, and like 11 or 12, and I could literally do like barely a single like one length delve. So I don't know, maybe I got unlucky. Yeah, and those were rolled with quantity.
Like I don't know what people are expecting, but if you do like a T11 map and then you get enough fuel to be able to do a T11 difficulty delve, isn't that good? Like one map for one block. I think it's pretty good. Like. Yeah, like I saw this thread yesterday, like 11k sulphite like block, and this guy posted this like long delve, and then it's like I have to do a T16 map for this to be able to do this, and it was like not even correct. And the top comment was this guy complaining that he can't do this, but it was like an incorrect info, and then people were like pointing out in the comments that that's actually like not true, but it didn't matter. People just wanted to like complain or go mad. Like I think if you do like the same map and you get enough fuel from that one map, especially if like it's an average raw map, like you alk it or like you chisel and alk it, let's say, and then you run it, you should be able to do an appropriate depth block, and I think that's an okay balance to hit. No?
Yeah. A few things real quick. One, sorry chat, there's been a slight bit of lag. I think it's on my end because the other guys aren't getting it through Discord, so it's either just Discord or my internet or whatever. And two, one thing I'm curious about your guys, one thing which made both the fix to the fix and the first fix really hard for people to give feedback on is the fact they increased the cap and that fucked all the numbers. I kind of wish they kept like the old cap and just scaled stuff down, because it's like when you're in your head you're like, okay, it's like 250 from a tier 16 map and it costs roughly this, and now it's like you're getting like 1,000. It's like I don't know what that is. I haven't got any like reference point to it. And now they've changed it again by putting the cap back down to like 18,000, and it's like, I don't know. I can't relate to the numbers anymore. So
Well, I don't know about this patch, but on the previous patch, if they left all of the, because there's obviously no quantity or anything like that, so if they left all the leveling up stuff the same way, then it would have been a nightmare also. Because Quarry, I tried out Quarry and it was giving me like 30 sulfite on it. It was just giving me the same numbers, but now you had, 30,000 instead of 5,000. So if the rest of the stuff is the same way, then by farming all the way up, you can't even use the catch-up mechanic because you're literally going to be able to run like 3 delves and then you're going to be out of sulfite and you're going to have to map. Which
is what they wanted to achieve, right? They wanted to delete Quarry and they wanted to make it so that higher tier maps and higher quantity maps reward you with more sulfite. And they did both of those things. So I think they achieved what they wanted, but it's not. It seems like some part of the community still doesn't like that.
Yeah, I actually that's another thing. Like, okay, so there's like a few different like sides here, right? People who want Delve to be another end game, so you don't have the map, right? So for these people, all of this changes, like
doesn't matter.
Yeah, and then there are people who want Delve to be like just like another one, like another end game on top of the mapping, so you can do both. So the people who just want to Delve, right? This change was like probably like horrible, right? Because they barely they just like Quarry and all that. But at the same time, like I don't think we can have Delve as a completely it's independent mechanic as an end game, because if the rewards are what they are right now, it's just like why would you ever map again?
Yeah, it's stupid.
Like the only cost is to
wait. Okay, we can get into this. What do you mean? Can you clarify this?
Like if it was like if you didn't need Sulphite, if you didn't need to do other content to Delve, right? And if the rewards are what they are now, so you could literally just Delve and nothing else, just Delve. You would there's a cost on rolling maps, right? For example.
Okay.
So right now the only cost would be to just survive in the delves. But when you're playing,
I see what you mean. Okay, well you can still.
There seems to be a lot of people who
just want to make it clear that you can still make way more currency just doing MF mapping than you can delving, even in the depth that we're in. Like we're burning money because of
that's like you have a cost to it. Like you have a
but that's not the reason.
You have to invest.
The drops are not like if you do like a good like currency room or whatever, that's like equivalent to like half of an MF map that we would do.
Yeah, but now you're talking about the MF map, right?
You're
talking about the MF mapping now. You're talking about full invested.
Yeah, because you always have to compare like the high end stuff, right? I mean, if you're making a comparison between efficient MF or currency focused delving, when you just go from currency room to boss to fossil chest to whatever, you have to compare that to like a fully invested juicy MF T60 map setup, right?
Yeah, but does either of these compare to, for instance, like a full-time fossil farmer? If you just got like a super turbo character and you're just farming fossils, like that must be really good money too.
Yeah, probably.
And that's delving and it's no investment.
I think we're missing
you can do it on really low stuff too.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of this just goes down to the fact that, and I don't think this is good, is that Delve gave an opportunity to have the top end without having to learn anything. Because if you're MFing, if you've got a properly set up Atlas, you can make more bank doing the Atlas. If you don't know what the fuck you're doing, you'll make more money in Delve than you will on Atlas.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Right? And the kind of people who want to only do Delve probably don't care about the long-term health of Path of Exile, meaning they're probably not very invested in Path of Exile.
Anyway,
means they probably don't have loads of knowledge, right? And that, I think, is the core fucking issue. And I think that's where everything goes back to, is we've had a long period of time of people, like, struggling through PoE, playing for a couple of weeks of League because it's new. They don't really know what the fuck they're doing. And then suddenly Delve is, like, very beginner-friendly in just its raw mechanic. Because it's just, you get the juice, you run the thing. Bestiary, if we look at Bestiary, people could make bank doing Bestiary, but it was fucking confusing. Because no one knew what the fuck they were doing, right? So now it's like, whoa, you've taken away my toys. What the fuck do I do?
Well, you guys think... Yeah, go on, sorry.
While you have a point, you said that this is basically mostly for the people who don't know what they're doing or like are news. But I think there's a lot of people who have mapped for like thousands and thousands of hours and they just want to do something else.
Yeah.
There are definitely people like that too.
I think that's true as well, but I don't think they're the majority of that group of people. I think there are people who are just kind of like, I'm bored, I've played PoE for such a long time, maps, I want something different. But
Yeah, but that's why what Karv is saying, that it's the people that maybe played too much. Because I see a lot of people who have been playing PoB for a very long time, and now that they've got delving, they only want to delve because
and those
not because,
types of people won't care about how boring it is to farm fuel. They will do whatever it takes, the most efficient way. And if it's quarry, that they'll do quarry just so that they can delve more. Like
but it's not because delving is like necessarily better content in terms of fun.
It's just fun
just because
for them. I just want to do it. Yeah,
it's just
for
new
the
stuff
sake
for
of
them.
doing it.
But man, the more we talk about this and the more all this stuff, and when Delve came out, I was like 100% they're adding it to the core. But the more it keeps going and the more it creates more
splits
merges,
the community so much.
do you guys think they're actually gonna do it? Do you guys think
I mean,
they're
they have
actually gonna
to.
add
I
it?
think
Yeah,
if
I
they
think-
didn't, it'd be such a shame.
I don't think
with
there's
the
no
current
way
setup.
they wouldn't add it.
Oh.
I think there's no way they won't add it
Oh.
in some way or other. I don't
Do
know
you
how it's
think-
gonna be. I don't know if it's gonna be like now where you have to map a lot to delve, or if they're gonna nerf the rewards a bit and make it easier to just delve if you want to. I don't know how they're gonna do it, but I think it's definitely going core some way.
So let's say that they keep so there's two approaches that they can take, I guess, right? Which is either making it further and further available for players so that they burn out, and then they're going to do what like Incursion they did with Incursion. So they're gonna wait a league and then add it after like fixing it internally.
No, it's going straight.
You think it's just straight going?
Straight.
Yeah.
I've been saying this for a while.
I don't know,
Master
because
fucking rework. The reason why they delayed Incursion 100% is they didn't know how the fuck they were going to do Incursion and Delve at the same time. Can you imagine how confusing this setup would have fucking been if people were like quarry farming while running Incursion, while doing Temple, while doing Delve? Like, the fuck,
Finding
man.
Sulphite in the
Yeah,
temple,
but,
that's
like,
the new meta.
think about what you're replacing it with. If what we were talking about, that you run a map and then you do the content comparable in delves, right? So you run a single map of like whatever T11, and then you can run a delve equivalent to a T11. That's a one-to-one basis. Path of Exile effectively turns into you map and you delve. There's bosses, sure, and there's this other stuff, but would delve really be? Is it really good enough to be
If you
half and
want it,
half
but
mapping?
I mean, people don't have to. People don't want to delve. They don't have to spend their Sulphite.
Yeah, sure.
But for a lot of people who really enjoy it, it would be awesome, right? They could delve. So it's like it's good to have like as an option.
Speaking of that, I actually had a moment where I felt bad because I hit the 5k cap when I was farming, because I really wanted to farm the sulfur vents, right? But I hit the 5k cap with full MF gear on. So I was like, okay, let's go just delve a bit. I was like, I don't want to move, like change my gear or anything like that. So then I was doing like low tier delves, like 100, 130 or something like that. And it took me ages to run out of my, it was like, I was like, okay, I have to swap back to my gear because I want to run out of the sulfite so I can map and not feel bad about it. Because every time I click the sulfite when in map while being at 5,000, I was like, oh my God, this feels so bad.
Yeah,
So
that was the thing.
You know what? I don't think what's the reason, but I feel like a solution for a lot of the problems we have now is to make sulfite tradable. People with the
I gotta go.
moments I had there, okay, right?
Not
right?
part of this.
So
bring back quarry.
okay, I'm not sure if it's a good option. I think it could be. Like, so for example, in the case that I just said, I could have sold my sulfite, right? Then there's people who just want to delve. They can buy it and delve, and then there's people from the middle, right?
That doesn't work though, because I think the main issue we're having with delve is for the people in the middle, right? Like, Empy, I think, is just happy because he's just like, I get to fucking delve, woohoo! Like, he doesn't give a fuck, he's just happy, right? The main problem are the people in the middle, right? If Sulphite was tradable, all the top groups would just control the market. Empy's group would control the Sulphite market, because the people who want to push would buy it all up. So the people in the middle who want to delve more don't benefit by being able to buy Sulphite, because they'd be priced out of it.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, unless mapping is more lucrative.
And if they made it
means.
tradable, they would probably also nerf Sulphite acquisition so it doesn't get out of
whack.
whack.
That's like the biggest problem I see that with that would be just that they would have. Would they then balance the progression based on that you can buy the sulfite every time you want to just delve again.
They
right?
can't make it tradable. If they
Yeah,
make it tradable, they make it even fucking harder for them.
Yeah.
Or they would have to limit it somehow, which then we're getting into
That's
complicated stuff.
too
So yeah.
Man, it's always interesting, you know, when you think about it, because this would be another form of currency in PoE, and it's always interesting how the market would definitely move in such bizarre ways,
Yeah.
just built around this, the same way it
Yeah.
moved around sextants and whatnot.
It would be
I
an
think it would
interesting
be interesting to
experiment.
see, yeah. But at the same time, I don't know.
Just have a month-long race with tradable sulfite.
Yeah, a monopoly on sulfite, like an entire like RMT company controlling all the
Damn.
sulfite on the market or something. Like, holy shit, that'd be nuts. Yeah, I don't
Sulfite
know. It would definitely be a solution to what you said though, Karv. The whole, oh, I have this thing that I'm doing. I'm maybe trying to get a specific item or accomplish something on my atlas, but then you hit 5k or now 18k sulfite, and you're just like, wait, I didn't do my thing, and I have to go delving. Otherwise, this feels like shit. I think there's definitely an issue there, but yeah, I don't know if tradable sulfite would be would be the solution for me.
One thing I'm curious about, which I don't really hear many people talking about, do you think that the solution or what they intended was people would be doing more like low 200 delving, not constantly like trying to push the boundary a bit? Because it seems like there's a lot of people who just kind of like, oh, I want to keep going deeper because I'm 300, I might as well go for 350. Whereas if everyone was like pushing sideways at like 200, there wouldn't be that much of an issue because you would do like you do your tier 15s or your 11s or your 10s or whatever. And then you still get to delve loads, and as you say, your sulfite lasts for a really long time if you're doing low 200, not high 200. So,
can I go back just a bit, just a bit about the trading thing? It's already doable, right? You can already buy sulfite and sell sulfite if you really want to do it, right? It's already doable. So.
Yeah, but it's not as straightforward. It doesn't hit you.
Of course.
Open to scams and all that.
Yeah.
They would also have to make sulfite an item that you could give to someone, which doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but that then is like, how do you stack it? Because it's up to 18,000, whatever the fuck it is now. So then how do I stack it in my stash?
Okay, the numbers are just arbitrary, right?
Yeah, numbers are arbitrary.
Stack of 5,000, like an orb of 5,000, which would be it, and then you would just like unstack from there. So it's, I don't think that is an issue, but yeah, I can definitely see the issues with tradable sulfite.
Sulfite stored in a bestiary orb. But yeah, so what do you think about this? Did they think people do more sideways progression at lower levels, or like?
I mean, it's really good money from fossils.
Yeah.
Doing that.
Yeah, but that eventually balances out, right? Now there's this huge like, am I supposed to delve? Am I not? Should I do quarry? Do I need to map? Like, it's kind of hard for the economy to even out, as you know, there's just so much confusion. But eventually, it'll sort of sort itself out.
Okay, question then. Since you'd agree before this patch, except for maybe Harby, most people wouldn't be running high reds, right? Like people atlasing, they're mostly doing like what, shaped 10s, 11s, right? Do you think they expected most people would be doing the equivalent of that in delve? And that's where the issue is, because suddenly you've got all these people who would normally be doing tier 11, tier 10s, who now want to be pushing the tier 16 plus delves, but they still want to be staying in their tier 10s, tier 11s when it comes to Atlas. Because I feel like that's also kind of a thing.
I don't know, like with when they changed it, like the exponential scaling between tiers, right? They said on the post that they thought that people who are delving, like just like level 80 delves, right, which is like 200 or something, right?
Yeah.
That they are they are mapping in the equivalent levels. Like, I was like, wait, what? I hit 270 when I was doing T11s, like just pushing.
No, but that makes sense, no? Because the majority of the player base plays like shaped maps T10, T13. So even though they've got level 95 characters, they're still primarily doing this sort of stuff. I would imagine more people are doing 16s now, this league more than ever, but still, most people from what I've seen hover around that 10 to 15 rather than 16s or anything like that.
People definitely don't party 16s. They
What's up?
definitely don't. Majority of people definitely don't farm 16.
Yeah, but these people are the people that would have like a level 95 character that would still be doing this sort of content, but at the same time they're trying to push like Delve 800 or something, even though mapping wise, it kind of creates a problem where maybe GGG isn't aware of how. Maybe they're just used to like people doing double beyond T16s and they see like, wow, this is so efficient.
You're
But then these
used,
other
dude. That's like
normies that are
5
doing
people,
more stuff.
Raiz. That's genuinely
Yeah.
like 5 people. This is.
Oh, but everybody compares themselves. If somebody's invested
That's
in
the
something like that, they
problem. That's
compare
the
themselves
problem.
to
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
right? The same
Yeah,
way we
they
were.
see Havoc farming. They see Havoc farming like the
Yeah.
quarry in 20 seconds, and they see us maybe MFing like T16, and they compare their like T3 burial sustain.
It's the same problem with the people calling
Yeah.
sustain and all this. Like, oh, I can't. This streamer is doing T16s and I can't even sustain tier 9s, right? Because they just don't have an idea of what it took to get there and whatnot.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, this is definitely going to be an issue. So I can totally see where they got that sort of statistic from, because it makes sense, but at the same time, it doesn't make sense. It makes sense on an entry level, but as the league progresses, it makes less and less sense.
Okay, question then, and I'm gonna ditch you, so make this as long as you can. What do you think? Like, ignore what it currently is. Ignore what it like. You think they might change it to. What do you think the delve to map setup should be? So if someone is spamming tier 11 shape, do you think they should be able to go do 270, 400, 500, 600 and BRB buy?
I think so. I think GGG is gonna do two things. I don't think it's guaranteed that they're gonna add Delve anymore. When it released, I thought it was guaranteed. The longer it goes on, the more I'm thinking that it's maybe not going to happen, and it probably won't happen due to community feedback, because the community is pushing more and more and more for Delves to be more and more available. And as the league progresses, GGG will agree with it more and more, because they just want to keep the players playing, and Delve is obviously fun, so why wouldn't they do it? And it's going to get to the point where it's almost going to be overkill. So I think right now the 1-to-1 ratio is good, but I think the league will end on more, where people are going to run a single map and then they're going to be able to do like 2 delves or maybe even 3 delves, and then they're maybe not going to add it or balance it internally like they're doing with Incursion.
Yeah, I think they are gonna increase how much you get from like how much sulfite you get from maps, or they're gonna lower the cost. I think that's gonna happen still.
I think so, but I don't know if I agree with that though. I think people are gonna burn out sooner if they do that. But yeah, it all depends on like when they do that. Like if they give in to people complaining now and they do like a third patch, then people are just gonna delve a bunch and then burn out in like a week and then stop. Which a lot of people do anyway, but I guess then at least they can delve more until then. But I think what Darko was saying in the previous Baeclast, and I 100% agree, is that they're trying to help player retention with this league, and that would go like almost completely against that if they just let us delve all the time, because then
at the same time,
it's also interesting, right?
There's another side to that too, right? So if there's also people who, because they want to delve, but because they can't delve, they're also gonna just like leave, right? There's gonna be people like that too.
Yeah,
so there's
nobody
sides,
knows these numbers, right? Even GGG doesn't know these numbers. They can make the best educated guesses because they have the number, they have the data. But it comes down to, will more people quit because they can delve enough compared to will more people quit because they burnt out because they delved so much, right? And then the difference between these, GGG has to make this math somehow.
Yeah, I wish GGG was a bit more clear with what was the intention of delve, because a lot of people had completely different expectations, right? There was definitely a lot of people, me included, who thought that you could like the amount, like how deep you go in delve is not limited at all by, well, I'm hoping, I guess, that you could delve without needing to map like crazy or like gain sulfite like crazy, like farm for that. But I guess that's just like GGG wants it to be like another system on top of like the mapping that you can do every now and then, right? I think that's what they're going for. I think that's probably what it should be, but I think a lot of people expected it to be like completely different. So I wish GGG was a bit more clear what they intended it to be.
So how did you guys see Delve from the beginning? Because with Incursion, a couple days in, and this might be due to the fact that I've been really sucking this league, so I didn't get to do as much stuff as I wanted to do. But in Incursion, I felt like a week into the league, people were still calling best league ever, and for me, I was already like, this shit will not last at all. But when it comes to delving, again, I might be a little bit biased because I've been really sucking, so I just didn't get to do as much as I did. It seems like the delve itself still remains kind of interesting. Is it the same for you guys? Did you have a similar impression of Incursion compared to delve, or?
Fuck Incursion. I missed the entire discussion, but fuck Incursion. Delve is way better.
I guess that kind of proves the point.
I think I'm expecting Total to get more like delve encounters. One of the biggest issues with Incursion was that like you just had like this one temple, right? This one boring temple with no chains, right? With delve you had there are people already who's saying not many though, but there are people who are saying that it's getting boring because like the encounters are the same. But it's like I've seen very few people say it, and those are people who are farming low level delves for fossils and everything like that. So I don't think
is that a personal attack?
Yeah, I don't think that's not gonna be an
I've
issue.
done 2,000 depths, and the encounters are not the same. I mean, of course, they are kind of the same, but like
okay, 2,000 delves for you guys. The amount. Okay, imagine like people who play like half of the time that you do. But if they delve in 100 while they're running like T12 plus maps, they run 2 maps and they can delve for 30 minutes just from that or more. So if they keep, and also the deeper you go, like you get like more bosses and everything like that. So of course you have more variation there too.
Don't think so, actually. Well, I mean, you get more of those big encounters, but those encounters we don't even do. Like the thing is, like, some people don't understand, or they think like we're doing this so that we can get there and then get good rewards in the end, or we're doing this so that we can get good XP or something. Like, this is not what we do. Like, we spend the first 6 days farming currency so that we don't have to do that ever again in the league. And then all we do is delve. All our time is spent on going straight down and then fueling. And then our downtime is spent on figuring out ways to fuel better, or like changing the builds so we don't die in the depths, right? Like, that's all our focus is on. So we don't look at it as currency farming, we don't look at it as XP farming, and other people are looking at it that way. So whoever is like after 1K is only doing that to go like deeper and push their limits, to push their character. It's a personal challenge, and that's what we're doing as a group as well. But everyone else is just looking at delve as, part of Path of Exile, where you can gain some currency, gain some XP, maybe try out your character in like these different new encounters, get some crazy good loot sometimes, or do some fossil crafting, and that's really cool. But that's not what we've been doing, so I can't really relate to that aspect of delving, right? Because that's all I've been doing.
Well, I think that's partially also why GGG kind of changed their approach with the whole like account share delving and whatnot, because they realized that I think most people have that idea. Obviously, you guys take it to a whole nother level, but most people have the idea of just like, I want to go further down. It doesn't seem like people are trying to go further down to like benefit from it past like the 83 stuff. Most people hover around the 270, 300, and if they really want to go further down, then it's like, I'm just doing this because it's fun, and then I also get some things. It's not like a super efficient type of thing.
That was one thing that I've been thinking for a while that Noogie said in chat is, should the cost cap out way earlier?
Yes.
Like, what if they just had it so that you stopped getting more rewards past, like, I don't know, 350, and then nothing costs more than 350 or 270 or whatever? Because it feels kind of weird. Like, because when I first imagined the system, I thought it'd be like, okay, 270, whatever would be like that eye level 83, that's the standard, and then everything past that is just, it's the same amount of rewards, it costs the same amount, and if you want to go further, it's because you're trying to get a bigger penis, right? It's just that.
Well, it's technically less amount of rewards, because the harder the content, the higher the probability that you're going to fail. So not only are you grinding more,
it'll take longer as well. Yeah.
When you fail, you lose fuel. It's back to grinding.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like that. I think that's a I haven't thought about that at all. I really like that idea because yeah, it's just a matter of increasing your EPing, and I mean everybody loves that, but you shouldn't necessarily get punished for it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe.
it's interesting.
Yeah,
I never thought I'm gonna look at it.
And you are
from
not
that
necessarily
perspective.
rewarded at all. Like I said, like the
Yeah,
loot down there is
exactly.
not good at all. Really, really not good. So.
Yeah. No,
And that's
I
fine.
agree.
Like we're not expecting any good reward. Like yeah, it would be cool maybe at 3,000 something crazy happens or some loot drops or something. But like we're not expecting anything.
Yeah, I mean they added cap, right? They added the cap, but I think like how many people are actually gonna even hit the cap? I feel like the cap should be like way earlier.
Well,
I
like
agree.
the challenge is 600, and most people aren't
Either
going to hit that.
600 or even 270, where the T16 cap is, right?
Yeah.
Wait, the challenge is 600?
The challenge is
Yeah,
600.
the end game is 600.
One is
Wow.
300, and the next one is 600.
That's actually a pretty big jump, but
Yeah.
but for a good build, it's not. Like for a good build, 300 might as well be 600. Like especially in like softcore, it's like no difference.
Yeah, that seems rather casual for softcore, no?
Yeah.
Doesn't
Yeah,
that
yeah,
raise
yeah.
the problem
is.
where, like, maybe there's too many old boy hardcore QA players on the team or something? Like, what the fuck? 600 doesn't seem like a lot for the softcore guys.
No.
I don't know, dude. To me, this is literally like the hardest and the slowest end game grind in PoE
Yeah.
ever. I don't think you can even compare it to anything else. 600 is like just
Actually,
way above everything else.
Like
Yeah.
if you were to equate that into maps, like
Currently,
think
there's
about how
90 people on softcore who have reached 600.
Yeah,
or
3
90
weeks
groups.
in.
Wait, how
Serious.
many?
90.
Oh, okay,
Actually.
never mind. I thought the
Yeah.
way, like, it didn't seem like that much, but no,
Mm.
90? Okay, that's not casual at all then. What the fuck?
Yeah.
I mean, Raiz, the top
I'm
hardcore
sorry.
dude is like 650.
There's like two. There's like two.
Touch it 3,000. He's like, yeah, 600. I mean,
Isn't there
fucking
like
noobs.
2 people in hardcore who have gone past like 600 or
Yeah,
something like
it's
that?
like
and
2
both
or
of them
3
are
people.
dead now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3. And one
Yeah,
of them is
it's
alive.
like-
Yeah, Africo's 600 and he's sitting currently. And he said
Oh,
he
so
was
there's 3
waiting
now,
for the
okay.
matches. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's
Mhm.
3 people. No, I can get that, but like most of these like really hardcore challenges, at least in the past, I don't really never follow challenges, but in the past, especially the item stuff, like that shit would take people a long time. And here you're playing the core game, right?
I don't know if I
league.
agree with that because that's about knowing how to obtain currency, and this is actually time invested in grinding the game. If you're good at
Yeah.
flipping, that wasn't an issue at all. So I don't think you can compare that.
No, because again, this is the thing, Raiz, is like change that to the equivalent of it in maps run. That'd be something like run like 1,000 red maps,
sure.
right? And that would be like
Sure.
a big dick end game challenge.
I think it's way more even than that.
Yeah, probably.
No, I can see that. It's just that then who do you challenge? Who do you target with the challenges with?
Oh,
Like, the thing
oh
is-
god.
Yeah.
Really? Like that's a whole fucking.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay,
That's
then
a
Fed,
big
do
thing,
we
no?
think it's an issue that they set the challenge at 600 so people have an expectation they should be able to get to 600? Because I've seen that complaint. A lot of people have been saying,
mean,
how dare
they
they, you know.
I mean, it's challenges, so are they
Yeah.
supposed to get there?
It's an end game grind challenge, right? Like it's for people who want to grind for that, right? Like it's I don't know. I've actually never been interested in
And I
challenges.
mean,
Personally, it's not a thing. But...
the reason why I was never interested in challenges was because, well, they didn't seem challenging. They seem grindy and
Seem like the
clunky.
achievements in WoW, like discover this
Yeah.
zone, do like this, pick up this item, and then
Kill
throw
all
it here.
all
Like,
mobs
I
in
don't
this
know.
zone, whatever.
Kill
Like,
these 3 war bands. Like okay,
yeah. So this, at least from my perspective, seems like a genuine challenge. If 2 weeks into the league, longer
3
now,
weeks,
almost
now,
3 weeks, right? Oh yeah, actually 3 weeks exactly. There's only 90 people in softcore. Like that's pretty big. And it's also, is it, well, I can't speak to that. Is it challenge? I know it's fucking challenging on hardcore, but I have no idea if it's just a grind and it feels shitty or if it's genuinely challenging on softcore. Can like any random build genuinely get there.
I think for
you're
solo
just playing
players,
the
that's a challenge. Solo players get to that.
Even now, if you've got a account shared, so you can have a level 90 character, I don't know, go to 350, then you have another character, you go to 400, then you have another character, you go to 450. You're just fucking around. I don't know how hard things get there for like the average dude.
Yeah, some people in chat are confused. This is the number of people, or this is the number of groups. So that can be multiple people that is not there. So it's 90 teams. So for example, the first the team, that's 6 people. That's not.
Wait, where are
that
you
doesn't
looking
count.
this up? 90
Just a ladder. I linked in chat. Hang on.
Yeah, because
Because
it
I can
shows
see the ladder.
it just shows us the guy who opened the mine, right?
Yeah,
It doesn't
exactly.
show the group.
Any of these could be groups, but if you start the solo one, actually, let's check that. Like if you sort by solo, how many?
Wait,
solo
so
people
technically
reach?
you're like not there, right?
Yeah,
Empy?
exactly. Yeah.
Wait, so what is your personal delve level now?
2.
And if you
I did 1 delve so that we can use so we can upgrade the.
and if you were to
can
now
max
play by
dynamites and shit.
yourself and try to push the solo delving, you would be at 2.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
there's no way for that to transition to your character or anything?
No.
It's so stupid. What? What? Are you fucking kidding me?
Actually, yeah, 72 or
yeah, the
73,
catch-up
yeah,
mechanic,
yeah.
sure, but
Yeah,
like
yeah.
realistically.
Yeah.
Why?
But I mean, I knew this going into it, and I'm not interested in solo play this league, so I'm not gonna do any of that.
No, I get that, but it's
But
like,
yeah,
I
I
don't think
understand.
that's
You can,
stupid.
yeah, like it's you're just locked into whoever's mine you're doing, and that's it. Like, yeah, you can do your own
Wow.
mine if you wanna, catch up.
I mean, it's the worst and the greatest thing at the same time. Because when we were talking about like group found and all this sort of stuff, then one of the ideas was to have it locked to a specific team. And if this works, then yeah, you're definitely locked to a specific team. Because if you're carry
the problem
or
with that
Delver, whatever,
is like with these super tryhard groups, again, MP, not that I'm accusing any of your friends or you of doing this. When you get to super tryhard groups, these are the kind of guys who've been known to do certain things which they get banned. You know when like you're playing WoW and they
Whoa.
do a ban wave and like you suddenly lose like all your healers and you're like, oh fuck. Imagine now if it's like not only have you lost all your healers, you've also lost the entire fucking raid because the raid was on one of the healers, and you're just like,
oh dude,
yeah, feels
ooh,
good.
this is the return of old school PoE. Anybody
Oh,
who's
so-
played a long time ago with mapping, where there would be a single mapper and he would have all the maps, and everybody would give him money to roll maps, and you would spend exalted orbs on the maps, and then eventually this one fuck would go, oh, I've got all the maps and I don't like this one guy, so he's not playing with us anymore. And he's like, dude, I've been investing in your maps and built your entire map base over 2 weeks. And he's just like, yeah, but I don't like you, homie. Get the fuck out. And
Yeah, I mean, this comes down to people, like, right? Like, people are gonna be people. Like, you have to, if you're gonna do something like that type of grouping, you have to do it with people who you like trust and you know that they're adults or whatever, and they don't fuck you over or don't do stupid drama shit. Like, yeah, you can't really.
Yeah, but there's definitely homies who are like looking to pub with randoms because somehow they can build up, and they're always the ones having the money.
Yeah, sure.
And then other people want to do like, oh, I want to do 1,500, but I don't want to go from 600 to 1,500, so I'm just gonna play with this guy. But then that guy's got all the control, right?
I mean, even like pubbing is fucked as well because it's just like yoink my Azerite now, Hamey, and all this shit.
Pretty much.
Yeah, right.
Oh yeah, and you gotta build up Azerite for the Sulphite and the Azerite for him.
Yeah, Raiz, it's like you seem surprised that it works like that, but I think there's a perfectly good reason why it works like that. Want to sell end game challenge, depth 600.
Sure. Yeah, I think we talked about this a little bit, and the idea that we had, or I don't know who had it, but I agreed with it. Maybe I had it. Maybe that's why I agreed.
This is how fucking Raiz, fuck off. This is how he works at everything. Like, oh, I saw this thing once. I think it was my idea.
Oh wait,
yeah,
it was
my idea. Yes,
I made this.
Mine now.
My idea. All right, go on.
No, it's like WoW arenas, right? Where you need to play a percentage of like the games to be eligible for that sort of thing. So I just think it would be interesting that maybe there would be a possibility for somebody to play with you guys, and then he would be eligible if he would do like 30% of your delves, something like that. Otherwise they can't get it, because if it would be as simple as Karv said, where it would be like, oh yeah, just want to sell, and then the guy has it, then that's fucked. But if they have
Mhm.
to do like, 200 delves together for that guy to be eligible, then you wouldn't be able to really sell it like that. But then still your
Yeah.
party members would be eligible to
Still
have that
commitment.
shit.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I think we agree that this is the best league and best idea they've ever done, but also the hardest fucking thing they've ever done to design. In a
Hardest thing to
game which is
balance.
already impossible to balance, they've just made it even worse.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Just so we're all on board with that. Because that's the
And
thing.
you still, despite saying that, you're still like 100% they're gonna release it from the get-go. It's just going core no matter what.
Can you imagine
Yeah.
if they took it away?
There's
Like,
no way.
real
There's
talk.
no way, dude.
There's no way.
Man, I said that shit about a bunch of stuff in the past, and
Look,
they
look,
always
I'm
found a
still
way
fucking
to...
hurt about Bestiary, okay? I'm still fucking hurt
Me
about
too.
it, right? Like,
Yeah, but the
deep
thing is,
down.
yeah, but that's what you're saying, right? Bestiary was good if you had it figured out, but they still, I was surprised that in the end they didn't just fix it and implement it. But the
But-
reason for that was because they found better ways of implementing the things that Bestiary was supposed to accomplish.
No.
Well,
This is the thing. With Bestiary, right?
No.
There were like 5 people who liked it. There was like
You're just
Uber.
butthurt about aspects. That's all there is.
Dude, fuck you. Aspects, flask crafting, it was actually really fucking good for crafting Shaper and Elder weapons, the way you could like lock out certain mods. Like, if you ever wanted to play Cleave, Bestiary was the best time to play Cleave, but flask crafting. But anyway, there are like 5 people who like Bestiary. There's like Karv, there's Uber, there's me, and then like, I don't know, maybe like
I
Uber's
like
mum.
Bestiary.
And then apparently Raiz down, and Bestiary was also his idea, by the way. So the thing is, it doesn't matter that it didn't go core, because there's only like fucking 5 of us, and the worst thing we're going to do is bitch about it every Baeclast for the next 20 years, right? Whereas with Delve, it's kind of like more than 5 people. I think at least 7 people like Delve, right? So if they didn't make Delve core, that's 7 people who are really upset.
Yeah, that's our entire group, dude.
That's a whole group, man.
Yeah, but it's 3 weeks into the league. You know how many people would have been fucking butthurt if Incursion wouldn't have went through, knowing that 3 weeks into the league? A lot of people are still exploring the league, and they didn't realize that the league kind of actually sucked.
And that's
maybe
another
it's
thing as well. Can we talk about that briefly? Why the fuck
wait.
are we doing such massive changes so early into a fucking league, man?
It's so late.
You know,
No,
you know,
it's
you know.
not.
the
Let it
opposite for me.
sit. Let
I
it
don't know.
fucking
At this point,
sit.
a lot of people already quit. Like
I
a
don't
lot of
give a
people just
fuck,
played
man.
2
Yeah.
weeks.
But it's
And
like,
those
you know-
people, yeah, nobody cares, right?
Half
But-
the player base is gone the second day, homie.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
what?
But like, this is the thing. Okay, this is the thing, and I've ranted about this so much. The character to account bound thing happened after 3 fucking days. Their entire design, their entire upgrade system was based around it being character bound. After 3 days, they changed that. They then went to the another extreme. Then we got to the point where they made this fucking change just now. A bunch of streamers for a podcast made a point of researching all the numbers. They fucking changed it again, so now nearly all of our discussion is fucking meaningless because it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Like, let it sit for the weekend. If they'd let that change sit
Yeah.
for the weekend and then they still made the change, then good. But like, get some fucking
It's never gonna
statistics.
happen.
Get
It's
just
3
just-
weeks.
There's no
Oh,
way.
just
When was-
get some
when was the
numbers,
last-
man. Small,
When was the
frequent
okay? Give me
changes.
numbers then for when was
Hey,
the
hey.
last time they did anything major like this in a league 3 weeks in? What, like
Bestiary.
Onslaught?
Bestiary.
Fuck
When they
no.
when they completely
That
changed.
was broken and they
No,
fixed
no.
everything like a week in.
No, when they completely changed it so that they dropped a shit ton res, that happened like 3 weeks in. They changed it so they were like fucking loot pinata extremes.
You mean from the mobs?
Yeah, they just dropped. They went from dropping nothing to like they
that
dropped
feels
all
like
the
that
fucking
happened
loot.
way earlier.
No, I think that was like a couple of weeks in, wasn't it? It was like 2-3 weeks in. Or was it even later? Apparently.
One guy's saying way later, the other guy's saying it was way earlier. We're fucked here. No, I actually can't remember, but it didn't feel like it was
That was like a
long, maybe.
month. Like basically, this is my point of view, and I've had this for a
okay.
while. Is let's say because they've been doing basically weekly changes, right? If they just say, okay, we're gonna make a new league, and then for the first 4 weeks of the league, we're gonna try and hit patches to like fuck with it. Just fuck with it slightly less each time, so people can feel out the fucking change, and then you can be like, yes, this is good, or no, this is bad. and do
Yeah, just so
small
we're
fucking
clear,
tasks.
I absolutely agree with you. I'm of the opinion that people would have been eventually fine with flares if
Yeah.
they just let him sit. I don't think that's a good thing that people have to struggle through all this shit to eventually be fine with something that should have been fine from the beginning. But I think
it's
people would have
possible.
been fine.
No, I agree. Like, I'm not here saying, like, no, GG doesn't need to polish anything. I would prefer if shit just fucking worked, right? But it doesn't, right? Like, that's the thing as well. Like, people pretend as if, like, these fucking companies, they go, okay, so how long has this game existed? Okay, I've been playing this game for, like, 5 years. Okay, they've got it wrong every fucking time. But this time it's going to be fucking perfect. And this time, it's a fucking outrage that it was a bit shit out the bat. It's like the same thing with like fucking WoW. People freaking out. It's like, dude, you're like 1 week into a 2-year expansion. Just feel it, you know? These leagues last for 3 months. This is a mechanic you want to go core into the game. We want Delve to go core into the game. So can we just like feel it out before we completely fuck it?
Yeah, but that's also so hard because these people fight back so hard. But at the same time, like, do you guys also get these people? A lot less now, but like even a week ago, I would get it like 100 times a day. Holy fuck, he has 50,000 Azerite? Like, that's so insane. And like realistically, that's not like a big number at all. You just kind of have that shit laying around no matter what, right? But people were fucking freaking out because everybody has done so little progression. But at the same time, you've got all these other people who are just like, this league, ree. So it's tough.
You know what I think this league's proven. If TG wants to put something core, they're gonna change it until people like they didn't do like I think that's why we're getting so many changes so fast. It's
like
they
invasion, right?
They want
Just like
hey,
invasion,
dude.
Karv.
We're talking about 2 different eras now. We're talking about
Yeah,
Stone
I
Age
know.
and like now. So
I know.
I think that's why we're getting so many changes so often, because they want it to be core. They want people to like it, right? They want people
Just
to
like
do
Bestiary.
to play with it.
If that patch really
How
went a
ma-
month
How
into
many
the
how many
league,
changes did Bestiary get? In
we
total?
got a lot.
We got like
Necronets, they added some new crafting shit, and then they fucked with Raiz a couple of times.
yeah. Now we have had 3 major changes.
Completely changing the core fundamental design.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like we didn't have anything. Okay, so the Necronet, okay, that is a change, but they didn't even think about changing like how the interaction with the monsters and the crafting was, right? So they could have changed that. They could have tried that. They could have tried to make it so that all you have to do is to kill a monster, and now it's basically captured by you killing it. You don't have to throw a net, and now it's just like saved on your account somewhere somehow.
I'd say Bestiary went through a lot more like changes that affected the general player base in terms of just playing the game.
I mean, I'm thinking about this from the
Delve is
mechanical point of view, from the actual
from a mechanical point of
mechanic.
view, they did fuck all to Bestiary. From a mechanical
they
point
just-
of view, looking at Delve, they designed it to be character based with character specific upgrades. At this point, that's like a wash, complete wash. So the upgrades, boom. The mine thing, boom. Sulphite acquisition, boom. Like, those are big.
Yeah, but you're delving the exact same way you were delving before. All these things around it change, but delve, if you're inside of a delve, nothing has changed about that at all.
But did
You're
you
still
did they
playing
somehow
the game the same way.
did they somehow change how you throw a net to a monster to capture it?
Yes.
They gave us one.
Well,
like,
they changed the encounters with the mobs. They changed the amount of shit that the mobs were dropping.
But no, it
changed
was
the
the
they
same
could
difficulty of the
gameplay. It
mobs.
was the
So
exact
they
same
could just-
gameplay, Raiz.
No, it was different. It was different. Bestiary. They changed the way the strength of the mobs, and you're saying that was a month in? That's pretty big. Delves aren't really changing at all.
Yeah, because people were one-shotting them. Like people were Herald of Explosion one-shotting red beasts early on, and that was a big problem.
That would no,
So,
but
like-
okay, because that's okay. We're arguing semantics, but the reason why they did that, because the reason why they did that is people said that there was no point to Bestiary because they couldn't understand the rewards because they couldn't understand the crafting system. So instead of fixing the crafting system, making it more readable, they just made the beast drop a shit ton loot. No one's complaining they can't do delve. So to be like, well, they haven't changed the amount of rewards you get or like the loot from, because no one's complaining that it's not rewarding enough. Basically, like the way I kind of see it is, You know that one kid at school who's like trying to find himself and he can't, and every week he comes in with a new personality, like maybe he's wearing a hat or he's got a new backpack or some shit. That's basically this league. It's just like, please like me. Please like me. I've changed. I'm different now. Do you like this version of me? I can change again. I could take off the hat. You know.
Yeah,
I mean, I would
see
agree with Sulphite acquisition, but I wouldn't like the delve itself hasn't really changed. I mean, they fixed the clunkiness of the flares and the dynamites.
Yeah, they
and
fixed the bugs. That's it.
the delve itself has been, I think, the exact same since the start. But yeah, Sulphite. I understand your point. Like they're doing kind of that with Sulphite acquisition, but they
I'm
have to
just
nail
saying
that.
from
Right? Like,
from my perspective, if we're talking about adding it to the core game, they're fixing immediate issues still at 3 weeks in, which is different to what anything else was. Because delve at the end of the day is it's standard unless you make the decision to actually delve. And bestiary did impact you immediately. Therefore, they had this need of like fixing things long term. While in delve, as far as I'm concerned, still right now they're fixing very bad core aspects and not even moving on to like smaller things.
I would
which
argue,
is pretty late.
I would argue with delve, they're nerfing the long term. I would come from the point of view that they're progressively making delve worse with each change long term for the sake of the short term.
I don't know if I agree with that.
I don't know.
I mean, I agree with it because it goes towards my point of delve not being added to core.
do you want that,
Potentially.
guys? Do you
No,
not want
I
that?
like delving. I think delve. I would be also surprised if they wouldn't add it, but at this point I've said that about so many other things, and delve is so impactful for how you spend your time in Path of Exile that
Let me
because of that it makes me think that maybe they're not gonna do it, and the more patches they release, the more I think they're not gonna do it. But
let me
personally,
wait, fuck off.
I've got all the time in the world, motherfucker. I can play this game non-stop. So
I'm just
no
gonna
problemo.
explain that point
I
because
would
there was
like
a lot
it.
of question marks to it. The reason why I think that long term, again, I'm not saying it's their intention. I just think these changes long term hurt delve more than it improves it. Is the core idea of delve? They said their mission statement in delve was to fix player retention. They said they keep making bigger and better leagues, and with incursion they had massive drop off super early. So they're like, we keep pumping all this money in, and we keep getting really early drop off. How do we fix this? Their core idea, whether you agree with it or not, was to have slow character progression. That's why it was all character based, because it's like they were trying to make the life cycle of each character longer. That was their core idea. It might be flawed, but that was their idea. Every change they've done has been to undo that and make the long-term character progression shorter and more about the quick, short-term initial play experience. Every single change. So it makes it more fun in the short term, but they've killed their core intention of the league.
Yes.
And that's why my biggest thing has always been about
Well, not yet.
Well, not yet, but that's where they're going. That's why my
Yeah.
biggest thing was always like, couldn't we have more catch-up mechanics? Couldn't they try more workarounds so they can keep their core idea? Because what I think will happen is that Delve will eventually go core and they'll be like, fuck, we still need to fix player retention. And they're going to keep like, it's like how with Atlas, like they keep trying to fix Atlas by just adding new things to Atlas. I feel like with Delve, they're going to have the same situation where they're just going to throw more money into Delve to try and make it do what they originally wanted it to do because they've changed it so much for the sake of...
Yeah, but it's also a really nice content that they can modularly upgrade, right?
Yeah,
like they
no,
can always add
exactly.
new biomes, new mobs, new zones. If there's like new type of currency or whatever, they can just slap it in the chest and all that. Like it's a really...
You can
It
expand.
seems like
lot.
a really easy
Oh,
to
yeah.
expand upon like core part of the game.
You can literally slap every single like old league mechanic into it.
Yeah.
I mean, you could do that with Atlas too, but
So you guys are also saying that. See, because that's what I'm saying, that the longer it will go on, the more and more Delve will be accessible, which what Tarky says defeats the purpose of like the originally why they created this shit. And because of that, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, even if it like if there's a big portion of the player base that quits like a month in, and now they'll quit 1 month and a week in because they want to push a little bit more delves, that's already like a slight gain for GGG, right?
Oh, what if they just?
know.
What if they? Okay, so I was against the 1 month race with like just delving, right? Because to me it made no sense, and especially with the core mechanic. But what if that's exactly what they do, where they're just like, oh yeah, you stuck around, don't tell anybody, but we're doing a month of only delving till you
Only delve race,
till you
no
fucking
sulphite
throw
cost.
up from it and you hate it
Let's
forever.
go.
I
And those
think
people are
if
actually
they
gonna
did
play it.
that, real talk, I think if they did that, they would fucking kill this game so hard. Dude, if
Dude,
they
when people were
real
talking-
talk, if they
Oh.
fucking did that, Chris, if you've ever listened to any of my content, I don't give a fuck if I get like blacklisted from the internet. Don't fucking do a 1 month no sulphite. If you fucking do that,
1
this game
week,
is
maybe.
dead. It's that you do that forever. Why can't we have that? That was the best thing. This game is shit now. It was so much better then.
I'm back for 5 years. I don't want to.
You know they're gonna do that though, but like 3 days.
Yeah, like a week
Maybe
long. I think that
5.
would be pretty interesting.
I think even week is too long. Even week is
Yeah.
fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
I think like
Or-
maybe 48 hours they can maybe do it, but I think more than that. It's-
That just
for
encourages
people-
people to do 48-hour session. I don't know.
For people who are like, Taki, the fuck are you talking about? Whenever you have games which do like super rewarding stuff, I made a video about this talking about like Earth. It's the Earth effect. How with Diablo they used to do like bonus weekends. So like for this weekend we're getting like triple loot drops. Everyone's like, oh, this is sick, make this core. They did it core. Oh look, the loot is fucked in that game.
Yep.
It's really fun, short term. Long term, it sucks dick. And you get sorted by it. Like, I nearly burnt myself out on PoE because of Mayhem. Doing the 100 race of Mayhem, I've said this, that burnt me for so many fucking leagues. And if they did this, it'd be the same thing. People would just be like burnt for the next like 3-4 leagues.
Yeah, they're also trying really hard to fix all of these issues like right now because their big things are coming out for Diablo 3. I think today is the next season it's starting, and it's going to be double bounties. So there's going to bring a lot of players back, and they're going to quit PoE and do that instead. So they're trying to make it
tasty.
so that this league is fixed before that.
When is the new Diablo stuff?
I have no idea. I think today, maybe.
Wait, really? God damn, I gotta go. What the
Yeah.
fuck?
Want to group up, Raiz? Let's go.
Sure. Carry me, please.
Dude, some people are trying to make SSF a thing in Diablo. I saw this thread on Reddit.
I saw
it
it
had like
too.
13
I played
upvotes, and the top comment was negative upvote. Top comment on the thread made -5.
Yeah, I played that shit like I think like 3 seasons ago or something. Last time I played Diablo. And I was like, oh yeah, SSF, let me just try it out. And then I played it, I was like rank 1 and like all of it, nobody was doing it. Nobody.
Yeah, it's like
did
an
it.
unofficial thing. It's not. Yeah, the community is setting up like these.
Wait, it's literally in 10 minutes for Europe. What the?
Right,
Oh,
guys.
okay, I got it. Guys,
End
bye.
the Baeclast.
Going offline.
God damn.
But okay, so since we've just argued the same point a million times, Karv, what is this Atlas thing?
Here
Oh,
we go.
Wait, are we doing this?
Yeah, I want to know.
we
It's-
actually
oh.
switched topic. Holy shit!
It's gonna
Okay,
be
we did
nothing,
it.
but I just want to know, what is this Atlas thing?
Yeah, I'm gonna start. Thanks for overhyping the fuck out of this shit, by the way, Tarky. Thank you.
So
Okay,
the guy
before-
who
just
was
to
running
interrupt
the
you for a
fight
second.
of
I
20
appreciate it.
hours.
Just
I
to interrupt for a
appreciate it.
second.
Okay.
Okay, guys, before Karv starts, basically he has found this trick that GGG didn't want you to know. I got a
insane
message.
exploit.
I got a message from Beck saying, please do not let Karv say this on stream. Go.
Okay, so you know how? Okay, I guess this doesn't matter because nobody's actually mapping. Everybody's just telling me, so this is completely irrelevant. So you can actually brute force the Saber Stronghold spawns to always happen next to Elder Influence. Because a lot of people have had issues where they spawn like in random places, which means that if you wanted to show like a farm strongholds, you had to have full Atlas completion, right? Because they could randomly spawn in some red tier map that you didn't want to do, you didn't want to have in your Atlas. But turns out, after you have a certain amount of Elder Influence, they will always spawn next. Like the reason why they will always spawn next to your Elder Influence is because Shaper Influence stops spawning elsewhere in your Atlas at that point. And that's 7 maps. So after you get 7 Elder Influence maps, every single stronghold will always spawn next to your Elder Influence. Which means you can now do shape strats and always keep farming the strongholds if you want to. Not that it really matters because everyone just wants to delve, but
I don't get it.
Wait,
How do
nothing
you?
new.
I get the benefits of it, but I don't get how do you spawn it.
Spawn what? You just
How do
have
you-
Elder Influence in your Atlas. When you have 7 or more, then Shaper Influence, your normal Shaper Influence can spawn in random places.
Sure.
After you get enough maps into Elder Influence, it will never spawn away from the Elder Influence. And that way, every single stronghold will always spawn in the area that you want. There's also
Wait,
other
how
ways
does
to...
nobody realize this before? What?
I don't know, dude. I don't
What
even
the
know
fuck?
how...
But you're saying
There's
I don't
no
even
way
know how...
nobody-
Just put your Elder Influence somewhere, and then the Shaper will obviously spawn
Yes,
around it, so you
yes.
can kind of basically
Yeah.
control where.
Like
Wait,
it was everyone was affected by it already, but I don't ever recall anyone
Nobody, like,
mentioning
actually
anything about
realized.
this.
Okay.
Wait, that's
Yeah.
actually OP as fuck. What? Wait, are you sure? Can he really only
Yes,
spawn on
this
Shaper
is
Influence?
from Neon. Neon said this to me when I was asking him a bunch of questions about strongholds, which I can by the way tell if we keep going about this. So okay, I lost it. I'll just go another one. So you can actually increase your chances at spawning. Oh, now I don't. So before I talked about how to spawn stronghold into a map that you want. So you flip flop a map between Elder and Shaper Influence, right? Because it keeps getting the Shaper Influence, and whenever a Shaper Influence is created, it can be a stronghold. Well, okay. So I told this to a bunch of people before the batch hit and everything, and people tried to spawn that on like maps near Underground Sea and shit like that, and they never spawned. You know why? Because Shaper Stronghold can only spawn on a randomly created Shaper Influence. So if you're doing the flip-flop, if you're brute forcing the spawn, like the influence change, it cannot spawn there. Okay. So the way to like go around this now then is, how if you have like a big Elder Influence blob, right? You have like a lot of maps, like whole like the top left corner, and then you run one map in the middle, right? Because it doesn't have a adjacent Shaper Influence to it, it will just lose influence completely.
Sure.
But because every single Elder Influence map will eventually have a Shaper Influence next to it, if it's not surrounded by Elder Influence or in a corner, the map will eventually, like very shortly, usually after one, it will turn into a Shaper Influence very often. It can go into Elder Influence too because it's adjacent, right? But it will most of the time within like 2 maps turn into Shaper Influence map. So if, for example, you wanted Underground River to be like your Shaper Influence anchor for your Underground Sea, you just surround it. So you have an Underground River in the middle of Elder Influence. You run it so it loses influence. Then you run some random maps elsewhere, and very likely it will go into Shaper Influence at some point, which then increases the chances of getting a stronghold because you keep running the map out of the Elder Influence. And that way you like circumvent the
Shaper influences don't force them. The Shaper strongholds don't force themselves if they're.
Whenever a map randomly turns into Shaper Influence, so not you running Elder Influence map, it has a chance to be a stronghold.
Can I point something out real quick? You know how earlier I said that the reason why people like Quarry is that they understand it? Yeah. So, yeah.
Karv, explain the screenshot that I linked in the chat.
Moving on.
Can I just remove the top right Shaper Influence that way, and then if I just remove all the Shaper Influence outside of the Elder Influence, then run the strongholds, then it will spawn around my Elder Influence.
Sorry, okay, so in this picture, you have 5 maps under Elder Influence.
Show it, Turkey. Show it.
Oh, you made my life so... Oh, okay.
I'll link it in
Come
chat.
on,
It's
man.
fine.
No. I've got it, Amy. Okay. Are you ready?
Okay. Let me know when it's there. Let me know if it's there.
Sort of. Yeah, that's pretty close, to be fair.
No, because it's not showing the Shaper fucking influence in the corner.
Okay. Give me a sec. Sorry.
Yeah, there's
in the top right corner.
Yeah, there's influence in Peach. Yeah. So...
Yeah.
You need to make the blob bigger, first of all, right?
Right,
Yeah.
Can I just say, Empy, I apologize. Your footage was very lovely. It's scuffed now. Thank you, Raiz. That's lovely input to the discussion.
No worries, my lawyers will be in contact. That's right.
Yeah. So if you were to now spread that Elder Influence all the way to like the whole top left corner, so it's more than 7. I would say always try to make it like 10 or more, because if it's exactly 7, you can lose multiple maps in the same Atlas stick, and then it fucks up, right?
Sure.
So you just make sure that you have enough Elder Influence, usually over 10, and from there point on, every single Shaper influence map that newly spawns will be close to the Elder influence, which means that you could go run that beach out of the corner, and well, you don't even have to run it. It will potentially lose its influence at some point. But that way you can run your shape maps and still be able to farm the strongholds too.
Is there a limit to how much Shaper influence there can be on the Atlas?
I don't know about that. It's based on like, I mean, yeah, I guess because 30 maps under Elder influence is the cap, and every single adjacent map that Elder influence can be Shaper map. But not that it not really matters. But yeah, you have 2 strongholds. So if you want to farm like your T16 Underground C, you could get one of the adjacent maps, so Maze, Channel, Ramparts, or Underground River, into a stronghold. And now because you always have a Shaper influence map next to your Underground C, as long as any other adjacent map is Elder influence, it will keep flip-flopping through the influence. And then you can run farm the second stronghold if you want to. Yeah.
Okay, but then how the fuck do I have Shaper influence on my beach?
Because you have 5 Elder influence maps in your Atlas right now.
So that's really all it boils down to? Holy shit.
You have to have enough Elder influence.
Yeah.
That's so ridiculous. What?
Yeah, and then every new influence will spawn next to the influence.
Mm-hmm.
The Elder influence.
Have fun
yeah,
farming your headhunters, guys.
I'm actually thinking about removing like my normal red maps and just farm shaped strat, because I can still farm the strongholds. Yeah. And you know what's kind of funny too? Nino also said that, because I was like, this wasn't like, they didn't tell us about this, right? They said that in the Atlas change and the map changes, like the manifest post or whatever, the wording was Shaper stronghold can spawn to like protect Elder influence, like fight Elder influence. But if it spawned in the other side of the Atlas, it was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Makes no sense. But you can actually change it so that it never spawns there.
Can I just ask, how
ridiculous.
fucking long are your email chains between you and Neon? Like, this isn't just like a hi Neon quick question. This is like
it actually was. I have a bunch of questions about like the strongholds.
Yeah.
And I think like, I don't think he would have even told me that unless I asked in a very specific way. I was like, is there like any way to, make that the strongholds don't spawn in random places? And then it's just like, there's like, after certain amount of influence, brackets 7, then Shaper influence never spawns out like away from the Elder influence.
I have a fucking good idea, and this is genuinely good for PoE long term. Okay, 1, Chris, tune back in, come back. You hire Karv, that's step 1, but step 2, he only gets paid if the changes that he makes in Path of Exile can be explained in a tweet character limit. That way, you get to completely fix Atlas, but at the same time, easily explain it to the community.
Easily upvotable on Reddit.
Fix.
I mean,
so 120 characters or 140 characters?
The double those.
That's why you have feet longer, by the way.
I just don't understand why they made it so that it's on
280.
Shaper influence and then it's spawned randomly under the 7. I mean, it's really cool. This is really insane. I don't know if people, because this can spawn the strongholds can spawn any item, right? Even the legacy stuff.
Yeah, you can find Headhunter from strongholds.
So you can literally, well, you have what, like a
you can
7.
You can farm it like all the time, because
yeah,
like you just farm your maps, and then every now and then when it spawns, you run it. But now you don't. Now you can do it with the shape button.
Damn. Yeah, have fun farming your headhunters, boys. That's actually insane.
Yeah, there was only like 9 ways to get headhunter. Now there's. There you go.
Well, now you can actually do it without having to run burials. You're just playing the game, and you're getting a headhunter, and you're getting a fuck ton of currency, and you're getting a lot of sextons.
Pog.
Okay, to get back on to something slightly easier to explain. General balance talk in terms of movement and defense. I feel like you'll actually have quite a lot to input on this one, MP. how have we felt about the Flame Dash phase run thing now that we've really played about it? I kind of want to delete Fortify. I'm just putting that out there.
Okay. The thing is, like I said, my perspective will be from, the crazy group. So
Yeah.
for me, Flame Dash is instant. Like we have like 95% haste or Val haste of time all the time. Like I have an unsupported Flame Dash and it's like instant. So like it's not relatable to the general like just mapping or whatever. It is. I do have Flame Dash when I'm fueling, and it feels better than it used to. So that's good.
Okay.
I guess maybe bumping up the charges to 5 could be like the end result. Then
Wait, does it feel good enough?
It's a bit.
What?
No, I mean, have you played an auto bomber with shield charge with like good gear?
I've only been playing
like
shit builds.
a lot of people in softcore are used to that, so that's gonna be their frame of reference, right? So yeah, compared to that, it doesn't feel good, but it feels better than it used to, and that's all that.
It's like
I was
twice as
using
good.
just Flame Dash and Phase Run, and then I recently respect my Necro to Leap Slam, and it's like, this is so much better.
Mhm.
I'm
Okay,
Starf Leap Slamming, just like so much
You can't
better.
complain about phase run though.
Oh, Phase
Phase
Run
Run's amazing.
Phase Run
Yeah.
is so
Yeah,
This one
there
is
you
so amazing.
I think all of us are phasing in the group at some form of phrasing, either phasing or just phasing on like.
Yeah, especially in delving. I mean, in general,
Yeah.
you just gotta run it.
I mean, not getting stuck on
Quartz
each other
flask?
is a
What?
pretty good thing.
Yeah. Quartz flasks are crazy too. It
Phase
always
run
was
and
a very
increased
underappreciated
duration.
flask.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys must really love
Yeah.
quartz flasks, huh? With the whole getting one shot by everything, the 10% is a matter of life and death.
Yeah.
Shit.
How would you guys feel though if they just deleted Fortify? Because I don't think Fortify adds anything to this game anymore.
Fuck Fortify.
Yeah.
Delete it.
I don't think it ever added anything. There's always such a bullshit mechanic. I think they should maybe don't delete it because it's still interesting to have another thing, but
Just
like,
let it be on
make
the
it
game
10%.
through Vigilant Strike. Okay.
Yeah, just Vigilant Strike, nothing else.
No, Vigilant Strike's lame too. 30-second Vigilant Strike? What the fuck?
I would delete everything. I don't think I was talking about this yesterday on the stream and someone was like, but Tark, if you delete Fortify, no one will ever play a melee build again. I'm like, okay, fuck off. Because you're like
the only
talking
reason people
absolute
play melee builds
nonsense.
is 45, right?
Yeah, people are like, oh,
you
you know why I play Namahu, guys? It's because that juicy Fortify. That's why I really play.
Yeah.
Love
All
those.
Kaiser only ever rolls melee characters because of
That's why
45.
Champion
If they
is so
removed it,
popular.
Yeah.
Champion's
Kaiser's
super
gonna have to
popular
play
right now,
caster.
guys.
But no, I feel like Fortify still, like, Phase Run and Flame Dash are a lot better, but they still feel worse in terms of just like raw movement than Shield Charge, Leap Slam, Whirling Blades. And I feel like Fortify, it holds back staffs, it holds back wands. It doesn't really actually add anything to Path of Exile. Like, it's just not that interesting. It also removes a socket, which is actually a lot more interesting these days with instant skills and whatever. I think if you deleted Fortify and then just like nerfed damage by like 5%, if you really wanted to compensate, I would even fucking do that, to be honest. I think it'd be way better for the game. Way, way better.
Actually, I don't think Fortify holds back staffs at all. Now with Static Strike, it's pretty nutty.
I tried that. Leap Slam's so much better. I did like
What?
the meme like 4-link Static Strike Ancestral Call chain. Nah, it's shit.
Oh, okay, just for generating, sure. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from with that. I like the Static Strike. It stays around forever, works well with delves. You can run through things, curse stuff. It's nice. You can EE better than something like Leap Time.
Just have like a piece of flat. I've just got like flat lightning on something.
Yeah,
And you've
sure.
got like ball lightning for E if you want to, but because also
Okay.
that's the thing is with Leap Slam is that you get to drop the Quicksilver as well, so then you get to run another like defensive flask, which is huge.
So how Empy, how would you feel if Shield Charge was like Flame Dash now?
Sad.
Is it still not
Very
fast
sad.
enough?
No, it's
You
not
would
too
be
bad.
sad?
It's not too bad. No, I think it's I mean, it's much better than it was. I don't know. Like it's
Still not fun though.
I mean, what do you mean? Like if it was like shield charge with 3 charges or what?
Yeah, let's say Shield Charge would just work like Flame Dash.
Okay,
but
I'm
obviously you don't
back to
have
Diablo. I'm back to Diablo.
Okay.
No, I think
'Cause
charge
I'm like-
stupid. Like, why would you like restrict the movement so much? Like, you can already have a Queen of the Forest character with like 3 flasks run faster, right? So like, what?
Right.
I don't think movement.
No, in general, just like restricting, because I've just been wondering how it's feeling for you guys that just play at these top speeds. I mean, it's a little bit different with delving, which I can really appreciate.
Mhm.
But at a certain point, the last like 2 or 3 leagues, PoE's gotten to the point where it's like like fucking StarCraft, right? Where
Mm.
you just have a million actions you have to perform, and you mechanically can't keep up anymore because you get to a point where it's daft freaking fast.
Mm-hmm.
And
eliminations or
I don't know if that's necessarily like a good thing, especially with the PoE potion system and everybody just constantly mashing their keyboard. Is it too
Yeah.
fast, or is it more of a whatever? The faster it gets, and then people are only limited through mechanics.
I mean, yeah, people are showing question marks just because they play like one build with like one button on it, but that's not like every build, right? Like, even if you're just only placing your flasks and your one ability, that's 6 buttons, and then most people have like 3 or 4 cooldowns, or even like weapon swaps and shit. So like, yeah, it's not only like one button.
No,
to
it's
push.
not. Even if you
I
remove
get
one
that.
button, like if you're just clearing the map, I mean, there's just so much efficiency that you can pull off that you just can't keep up with. I mean, if I didn't have a mechanical limit, I could probably clear maps way faster than I'm clearing right now.
Yeah.
But it's just too fucking speedy.
I recently made a complaint, or not a complaint, but I made the point, like, since they've added like flares and dynamite, maybe it's time we get like an extra couple of buttons, homie.
Yeah, 3 of our members in the group are currently limited by number of things we can put on our bar. Like, we have 1 or 2 open sockets that we could use for more stuff, but we're limited by buttons. And then we're doing weapon swaps, and that's still like, some people can't weapon swap because they like lose auras on their weapons or whatever, or other important stuff. So we are currently kept by the buttons, the amount of buttons we can push, because we have to have the move there somewhere.
Yeah, and I'd also argue, because like a few people said like, oh, but the whole reason why we have limited buttons is it's player choice and whatever. I would argue that Path of Exile already has the perfect system, because if you have more like random utility skills, you're losing out on sockets. So that's the opportunity cost.
Yeah.
So if they raise the cap to
I
like
still think
10
move
buttons,
should be
maybe
like a separate button.
Yeah.
Like, just move would already help. If you could
Yeah.
put like force move like you can in Diablo or with other game, and then have that slot free up in your bar, that would already be a pretty big improvement, I think, for some builds.
If people saying Xbox, fuck Xbox. Like, this is bullshit, man. We've wanted more buttons for fucking years, and they've said, yeah, it'd be cool if we could maybe have more buttons. Like GG have said they would like to do it. So it's something they're into. So to then be like, oh, Xbox, it's like, fuck off. They can come up with a system. Like, they could have it so like you push down the numpad and that was another button. Like, there are ways that they could fucking do it. And it's just like, why can't PC have an extra button? Do you really think there's going to be Xbox players that like, PC has a competitive advantage over X? Like, fuck off. No, realistically, no one's going to fucking make that point. For the sake of like,
oh my God.
A decoy totem or a enduring cry, you know. We're not talking about like PC players get like an extra 4 flasks, you know.
I love how Uber is the same person complaining about his hands exploding during racing and just being in severe pain, but at the same time talks about StarCraft 2 and how that's with like way more APN. Like, what the fuck? Have you talked to Ask Crying how he was feeling after playing Mines to 100?
Yeah.
Like, what?
I wouldn't be able to play a miner
play,
with shield
his
charge.
hands hurt so much. Like, I don't know. If that doesn't create a problem, then yeah.
I can only play miners with phase run. It's too spammy. Also,
Arky.
people. Oh, go on.
Why did you have to defend against that Xbox comment so much? GGG literally said that Xbox won't do anything.
It's a different
to the
game.
Yeah, it won't do anything
yeah.
for the development of the game, right?
Yeah.
Easy.
Oh, and for the guy saying that Tarky limitation, I agree, but the limitation is the sockets. Like, you guys
Should
have had
be.
that thing
It
where it's
should be,
like, you know,
right?
you have a build and you want to put Combs roots into the build, but you have to think, shit, what do I drop to add this in? Like, that's the same
Yeah,
thing.
there's no problem with that.
Yeah, it's just like, oh,
Yeah, I
I
think
want to add an Enduring Cry or War Cry. What do I lose? Do I drop a casting damage taken setup? Like, what do I do?
Yeah, I think it's fine with the sockets. I actually thought first that it would be better Like it's better to have the limitations. But yeah, I think the sockets is the limitation already.
Yeah. Especially since they keep making items like that. Like there's the one socket staff, and then there's the one socket helm that came out. I can't remember the name of. And then obviously with abyssal, crafting with fossils, like there's like more and more things taking sockets off of gear. So yeah.
I think especially with how cool vulnerabilities turned out, like a lot of people want to use that, and they're promoting Warcries, and you've got all these instant cast abilities. It's like, oh, great, I can cast all my auras and Blood Rage at the same time once per map or something like that. It's like, damn, dude, this really sucks. I wish I had a button for it. Like even Diablo 2 style system where you can just keybind to like F1, F2, F3 and just rotate through them. I think that would be totally enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's unfortunate. Yeah, I had that problem for the longest time because I've always played a lot of summoners. But even now, a lot of people that are playing like Caustic Arrow and Rain of Arrows and all this sort of stuff, I mean, you just have too many things that you want to use. Especially if you want to fit in like a Vol Blight in there or something like that too. Just sucks.
I think Phase Run really pushed that a lot because you have a lot of builds which now run 2 movement skills because they run like Flame Dash plus Phase Run or like Phase Run Blink Arrow or something. And so you have like 2 buttons where you previously had 1, then Vol skills. Every build runs a Vol skill now, so I think that added a lot to it. Another thing, just kind of on like the more general side of things, and it's always been an issue in Path of Exile, on death effects, like, is there time to add either more ways for like non-crit builds or non-shatter builds, or do they need to fucking get rid of that stuff? Like, I don't know.
Oh god. The shatter discussion. I fucking hate shatter, okay? I think it's stupid. I could rant about this shit for hours. I actually ranted about that just yesterday.
Let's go,
I think
Hamey.
it's shattering is
Yeah.
really lame, okay?
Yeah.
You can't have 2 things on one thing. So, by shattering, you're freezing the mob, right? Meaning that you're dealing enough damage to probably also stun it. Therefore, the mob is not moving. Therefore, the mob is unable to attack you. Therefore, you need after death mechanics that counteract that, right?
No.
But when you fucking freeze things and you make them unable to move, you also shatter them so the after death mechanics don't work. It makes no sense. Like, you can't have both things. You can have one or the other. Otherwise, you make yourself invulnerable to things. And a big highlight of that was last Baeclast with Grimoire going, yeah, I don't know what those wetas are. Like, what the fuck? And he's on like Delph 600. Like, dog, it's like the scariest thing ever, but you're playing a build that makes everything unable to move. And at the same time, they can't kill you after they died. So what the fuck is the purpose of it? And at the same time, it limits so many builds, because if you want a top tiered build, there are many abilities that could be top tier builds, and there are many abilities that could level up really fast and do beyond and all this sort of stuff. But because they lack shatters or some sort of corpse destruction at the same time type of shit, it really sucks. But at the same time, you've got really cool stuff like Flesh Offering that you can utilize where you've got a trade-off. Do I remove this corpse? Do I remove this scary mechanic and sacrifice this time to cast this ability? Or do I get hit by it or potentially position myself a little bit differently? I think that's a big deal, and fuck shattering, okay? You can't have one or the other.
I would just get rid of shatter, to be honest.
I wouldn't get rid of it. I think it's okay if you want a certain playstyle.
Half the
I
player
think
base would
you can't have the same
quit
thing.
if they
Dude,
remove
fuck
that.
him. I've gotten to the point now where I'm just like...
Make Ignite shatter. Boom! The mobs melt.
Oh,
That makes
damn.
sense, right? Because you can still play Prolive, but not to an extent where it's overpowered that you can do
that would
totally
just,
now.
That would just like
And then the
push-
freezing mobs still can't move, and then the corpses still try to blow you up, and then everything's fine. Fixed. Just like that.
Do you think the issue is shatter, or do you think that the issue is that monster, like, I don't think that, first of all, I don't think monsters should kill us after they die.
Yeah.
So I think that's just a completely like a different discussion altogether.
Yeah.
Should the monster actually fight back? Hi, by the way, MP. I heard they hurt.
Hi.
I heard the mobs hurt late in the delve.
Yeah.
But like
After
for the most
after
part,
death
mobs
effects
don't
and
do
ground
anything.
effects is still the most dangerous things. Like, it's not monsters hitting us. It's like I mean, volatile is not that big of an issue anymore. Like, it's definitely avoidable. But like what you mentioned, the vetas, you mentioned the like any ground effect that can like instantly spawn instead of having like a cast animation or anything like that is like more dangerous than any monster's attack or or anything like that will like ever be. Sorry if I got you off cover. I'm not sure if you finished here.
No, it's fine. I finished.
I think it's dumb when it's like you have a system which is it's all or nothing, right? So it's just like if you shatter, it does nothing. So then it's a case of like any build which doesn't shatter is just a worse build from a defense point of view. It just is. So then you say, well, then we let everyone shatter. Then if everyone shatters, what's the point of having the mechanic in the first place?
Yeah. Wait.
So
if everyone shatters, nobody does. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, little fun facts. We play with a headhunter, right, on our DPS.
Yeah.
So when he steals a volatile and then he dies, that volatile then comes and kills us. That's our extra after death that we can do. Welcome back.
That was
Raiz.
my underwear, by the way, homies. Feel violated. I forgot to mute.
Oof.
Whoops.
That's a whole other thing. At some point, we're going to address your weirdness with not fucking wearing trousers when you stream, but like, whatever, Amy.
Trousers? You were trousers?
Trousers, dude.
Oh my god, that is actually disgusting. What?
And they're just fucking
Are you kidding me?
joggers.
This man dresses up for work. Look at him.
Holy shit. You don't
Raiz
reap
just
the
likes to
benefits, Darky.
Raiz just likes to cosplay a Templar.
This is true. I am one with the Templar. If the world should be so freaking happy that I'm not like a professional player because I suck at everything. I would be one of those dudes, you know how the pros like take off their boots and stuff so they feel like at home. I would fucking take off my pants for pro matches.
Yeah.
100% any LAN. You guys should be happy I suck. What were you guys talking about?
I don't know.
Death effects and stuff.
So yeah, on death effects.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like they just need to either get rid of on death effects or make them apply to everyone at this point because it's just kind of like you're punishing half the builds and I think it just killed build diversity. I don't know.
Yes. I agree.
But that's why we have impulses and shaper static explosion too. Just explode it. It's fine.
I agree. Impulsa most balanced item 2018.
Fuck Impulsor.
It's totally fine because it makes all builds even. No matter what ability, you can be like, oh, I destroy corpses because I've got Impulsa. Just slap on an
And then I
elementalist
instant
and you're good.
crash. Yeah.
Sometimes, come on.
No, we actually can't play with Impulse.
Impulsa has to have some downsides, don't you know?
Yeah.
I actually heard that comment before. It's like, well, Bryce, actually, Impulsa has a downside. It lags.
Yep.
Dude, what the fuck? Like,
It should
you
be
a
in
real
the
person?
little text there on the item, you know, like
Yeah.
the lore text. Sometimes instance crashes a lot, actually.
So I kind of feel like we've spoken about. In a way, I feel like we haven't actually said anything this podcast. Does anyone else feel like that?
Yeah, we're like mid-patch that nobody's
talking.
played, that everybody's got a controversial opinion
Yeah.
on. It's like impossible to talk about this.
Hey! I feel I did something.
Yeah, Karv did something
True,
constructive.
true. That is very true.
Don't
Ne-
buy your headhunters
Yeah.
anytime soon, because they're about to go down.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's gonna crash the
yeah.
headhunter market, dude.
Yeah, it's major.
We might need to
Totally.
buy a few actually because of the new fuel
Every
changes.
second stronghold map drops a headhunter.
I
Yeah.
actually wonder what the probability of that is. I've only done a couple strongholds. I've dropped a lot of stuff, but no.
I found 2
legacy
or
stuff.
3 leak uniques from them. I think I've done maybe like
Ooh.
20 or something. I think.
Damn.
Yeah, sell it now, guys. Sell it all. Sell right now. Sell. Good time. Actually, it's a good time because we're thinking of setting up like 5 like map farmers for fueling with the new changes. We'll see. I don't know, and so we might have to buy like 5 headhunters for this.
I guess it also helps with
Sell.
flip flopping a bit, knowing about that.
Mhm.
Is he muted or is it just me?
I think he cut out or something.
Oh, sorry. So where did I cut out? Where did I cut out?
You said flip flopping
point.
them and
Oh yeah, so it makes flip flopping easier because you can get the stronghold in a map you want, or very close to. It's still hard to brute force the spawn because it's just a chance, but you can just increase the chance drastically.
Well, you can always spawn 2 shapers too, right? Where it's like 1 and then the next one's the progression.
I mean,
and then
you
it
just
spawns there.
yeah, like what I will probably do at some point. Just I have 1 for the anchor for the right, like the underground sea, right? So I just get it into river or something like that, and then the second stronghold I just like always run when it pops up somewhere there. Probably run it as like a T16 too, or something like that.
Well, a lot of people were already doing that with Underground C and just putting Elder in a corner and ping-ponging the influence
Yeah, but
either way.
this okay. So what's having the Shaper Stronghold in a adjacent map to the map you run does is it removes one of the bad outcomes, which is when you clear a map, right? When you change the influence, it can also change the influence of the next map, the adjacent map. So
Yeah.
whenever I run a shaped like Shaper influenced Underground C and it turns into Elder, it can also turn to Underground River. And next time I run the C, it will be no influence after that because it was surrounded. So it removes that from the possible outcomes. It can still happen that when you run the Elder influenced Underground C, that the C and the adjacent maps turn into Shaper influence. But in the case of Underground C, you have 3 other adjacent maps, right? So the
Sure.
chance of that happening is like very low because all of the 3 would have to turn to Shaper influence for the flip flop to completely like get destroyed.
Do you ever feel, Karv,
OP.
like, you know when you see that kid who's really excited to explain, like, his new Lego toy to his mum, and then mum just sort of, like, stares blankly back at the kid, goes, "That's nice, we'll put it on the fridge." Do you ever, like, get that feeling?
I probably look
Do
like
you ever
that.
not get it? Sorry.
Because I feel like what happens is, like, whenever you do these, Raiz is like, yeah. And then he's like, oh, so about this, he's like, yeah. And I'm just like, I think he gets it. I'm not sure if I do. And then, like, turns out,
I can
like, I
explain
don't think
it to
he
you,
gets
Tarky,
it
if you
either. Oh,
want.
go on, Raiz.
I get it.
Okay.
No,
go.
it totally
Let's see.
totally makes sense. It's all about just being adjacent. The only tricky part was that, well, Shaper Strongholds can only spawn on Shaper influence, and yeah, the whole limit of 7 that allows you to spawn it around the Elder influence, which is
Yeah, it was like
totally
it was like
Yeah, I don't see why it's 7. It doesn't
everyone
really
who
make
has
sense.
everyone who has ever spawned Elder has been influenced by this. I don't know how long
Yeah.
it's been going,
It's just
but like now, like it's like when like Neon said it, I was like, oh, so that's why the Shaper influence sometimes just like completely vanishes from the other side of the Atlas. I was like, okay, that makes like perfect sense. Never even thought about it before,
Yeah, I never noticed that either.
but it's so useful to know if you want to do the shape stat.
No, this is crazy. Like it's incredibly useful. I mean, this means pretty much, at least for SSF, an endless amounts of sextants. You can pretty much build up anywhere. You can shape any maps. Even for regular maps, you can construct it however you want. And yeah, it's never going to be painful, and you can always utilize it under any circumstances, even if you're not ping-ponging the same map. I mean, shit. If you're just building up your shaper orbs.
Yeah, like this
Yes.
knowing this didn't really do anything until now with the strongholds. Like even if it existed before during Elder
there's
loops,
no reason
absolutely
to make use of it
nothing.
before.
Yeah, you wouldn't benefit anything from this.
Yeah.
So it's just like
you
now.
would lose.
Yeah.
You would lose your shaper influence. That's about it.
I mean, yeah, sure. You couldn't run like the random shaper influence maps
Yeah.
elsewhere on the Atlas, but who did that really?
I did that.
Sure you
Okay.
did.
No, I did.
I did it.
Smile.
Smiley face.
Also, yeah, Raiz, you already knew about this, right?
Yeah,
You've been actually using this for leagues.
I wish. No, this actually would have been super useful, this league. I mean, again, nobody really cares too much about mapping, like you said.
Yeah, but yeah, I was saying, like, who cares? It's fucking Delve League now. So.
No.
Yeah, but even if you even if you're just farming burial chambers, like, just fucking pop it in there, and you've got a higher probability of getting all this stuff. It's not 100% of the time, but most of the time. It's cool.
I have a question. Does anyone else have anything they wish to discuss?
Oh, are we done?
I think we actually got through it.
Do you guys think GGG is rushing stuff because there's been so many bugs with everything?
Yes.
Yes.
Especially after
rushing as in
incursion.
trying really hard to fix it fast, but I mean that's not.
Yeah, but
rushing.
overall, like
Oh.
content in general.
I mean a little bit, but I think it's still better to try these things and throw them out and then let it evolve with community feedback rather than wait like half year or a year
Oh my
between
God.
like leagues. Right?
No,
These
I
Diablo
agree.
3 players
I
are
agree
so
100%.
sweet, dude. Holy shit, man. You guys have been truly violated by this crap.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
that you tolerate
what can I
it.
say?
Fucking this is how PTSD looks like. Holy shit. No, but realistically, I think they've been doing they're always doing a fantastic job. That's the thing. Like whenever they fuck up as in there's a lot of bugs and whatnot, you know that it's never because they were lazy, but it's for a
Yeah.
greater cause because they're doing something else. They're working on like getting there further. For a time, it did feel like that was just like a continuation that every time they couldn't catch up pretty much all the way until Incursion. So I think a lot of people were just disappointed because Incursion was from the get-go just a working league, except like a little bit of crashing in the first 3 days or something. I personally didn't have a problem with that. Well, now there are quite a bit of problems and they're changing core mechanics 3 weeks into a league. It's just different, but again, it's not due to the fact that they don't care or something like that. They're trying really hard.
When it comes to issues that could impact a lot of players, even if it doesn't impact a lot of players yet, they fix it pretty fast.
Yeah.
The only differences so far has been Harbinger and Perandus. Those two encounters are bugged in the deep fast to the point that it just lasts for 20 minutes. They keep spawning Harbingers and the Perandus chest keeps spawning mobs and it never ends, and then you just instant crash because you've been there for 20 minutes. And
Wait, really?
Yeah, that's still a thing. But Belfry, remember how Belfry was bugged in the beginning of the league? They fixed it in 2 days, I think, and it was a weekend, and they fixed it. Like Belfry,
And
you
nobody
killed the
will even
boss
go
and
to
didn't get
Belfry.
completion, and it was literally 2 groups that made it to Belfry, and we were just waiting to get the sextant. Once a lot of people would have reached that would have been a huge issue. Like thousands of players can't get their sextant because they actually can't complete a yellow map. But they fixed that really fast. The only thing that they're a bit behind on is the Harbinger and Perandus thing. Those two encounters either need to be temporarily disabled until they're fixed, or they need to take a serious look at them because it just time. And people will get there. People will get to those depths when those encounters start crashing, and then it's gonna be like a shitstorm. But until then, they have time to disable or whatever.
What was the one league when you couldn't enter Vol Ruins and they restarted it? Was that Bestiary?
Can't remember.
Yeah, you couldn't enter Vol Ruins for 2 hours straight, and then they restarted the whole league. People were farming to level 27 in wetlands and shit.
Damn.
Or maybe it wasn't a league.
I think it was a
Raiz.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay.
Dude, I'm
bizarre.
still salty
Oh, wait,
about.
wait.
Was it Incursion? Well, it was me and Ziggy were the only guys who got in for the
Yeah,
first 20
yeah.
minutes. Dude,
Yeah,
I had
didn't the
sick
reason
just restarted the whole
RNG.
league.
I was
Yeah.
so pissed. First mob I killed dropped a Quicksilver and a +1/1. I was like,
Oh my god.
I was flying. I had the new frost bomb for leveling fucking slaps, by the way. I'm like, this is so good. Then it's oh, down. Fuck.
Yeah.
Can you show again how you run? That looked interesting.
Again, you have 2 options. You can either slice the air, or if you need to get somewhere really fast, you Naruto. Those are your 2 options.
Aerodynamics.
I would
right?
also like to point out that just previously he was also describing riding a bike in the exact same way.
Yes, so that's
same
when you're
movement.
cycling.
Yeah.
You see, if you're cycling like this, right, you're just chilling, right? Then it's whatever. If you want to get somewhere real quick while you're cycling, give it a bit of this. Slice the air while you cycle. Momentum, baby.
Give it a bit of this.
Just give it a little bit extra, boom.
Don't give it a little bit of that.
Don't do it.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Never in public.
Yeah.
All right.
Or you can do a half Naruto, half slice.
The combo moves.
The combo. Nice,
But
I
if you do that, you need to swap every 10. Otherwise, you'll get one really hent charm.
Health
so
reasons. Yeah.
you gotta swap every 10.
Oh my God, Tarky, there's nobody that can cut you off because you're supposed to be closing off the podcast. So can we get?
I think that was a very good outro.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna cut it on that.